739. Methodology and African prehistory. Communities, the higher authority, the state, was no more the owner of the land than were private individuals. Moreover, the state generally did not undertake any major public works. As for the power structure itself, considered as a superstructure, it does not come into any definition of modes of production, even though the power structure is an indication of the existence of classes. However, this structure in Africa does not have the characteristics of the Oriental despotism described by Karl Marx. Yes, in spite of instances of sanguinary autocracy, the state authority in Black Africa nearly always took the form of a limited monarchy within a framework of corporate bodies and customs, veritable unwritten constitutions, institutions most often inherited from an earlier organization or social stratification. Even when prestigious and efficient states such as the Empire of Mali, described with admiration by Ibn Battuta in the 14th century, spread over immense territories, their decentralization, adopted as a deliberate choice, allowed the basic communities to function with a very real measure of autonomy. In any event, since writing was generally little used and techniques of travel were still not very well developed, the sway of the capitals was always mitigated by distance. Distance also rendered very real the constant threat that subject peoples would evade any attempt at autocracy by running away. Moreover, production surplus to the needs of the basic communities appears to have been modest in Africa, save where there was a state monopoly of precious commodities, such as gold in Ghana or Asante, ivory, salt, and so on. But even in such cases, the reciprocal services, security, justice, markets, and so on provided by the chieftain must not be overlooked, nor the fact minimized that a good proportion of the taxes and levies was redistributed at the customary festivals, in accordance with the code of honor governing those obliged to live nobly. 5. This explains the lavish generosity of Mansa Musa the Magnificent, Emperor of Mali, at the time of his sumptuous pilgrimage in 1324. As for production based on slavery, did it exist in Africa? Here again, the reply must be negative. In almost all the societies south of the Sahara, slavery played only a marginal role. Slaves, or more precisely captives, were nearly always prisoners of war. However, captivity did not reduce the MN to 15. If by despotism is to be understood an absolute and arbitrary authority, the idea of an African despotism can only be rejected. Hibbett, page 125. We do not believe there are any grounds for attempting to find in the organization of African states the duplication of a model borrowed from Asia. At most, a few superficial similarities might be noted. Hibbett, page 122. 16. J. Mackay, after having noted that in the view of G. Ballantyre all things considered, the price that the holders of political power should pay is never fully acquitted, himself holds that the public services of rulers require no coercive power except in vast, heterogeneous and urban societies. Elsewhere, the lineal relative network and its sanctions not imposed by force are sufficient. He therefore concludes, except for redistribution, there was no economic counterpart for the surpluses that the rulers extracted from a traditional society. J. Mackay, 1970, pages 99 to 101. 740. Conclusion, from nature in the ram to liberated humanity. The status of chattel, of property pure and simple in the sense defined by Cato. The African slave often enjoyed property rights. He was not exploited like an instrument or an animal. The prisoner of war, if he was not ritually sacrificed, as occasionally happened, was very rapidly integrated into the family whose collective property he became. He was the in addition to the family who within a short time enjoyed freedom by right or by circumstance. Captives used as foot soldiers sometimes enjoyed substantial advantages, and sometimes, as in Cairo, they were even part of the government in their capacity as commanders-in-chief. In Asante, to ensure national integration, it was strictly forbidden even to allude to the servile origin of anyone, and so the former captive might become a village chief. The condition of captive, although common in Africa, did not imply the restricted role in production that characterizes the social class. 17 In places where slavery took on a massive and qualitatively different character, as in Dahomey, Asante and Zanzibar in the 18th and 19th centuries, the social structures involved stemmed from an already dominant mode of production, which was capitalism. and were in reality the result of external economic influences. Can this be regarded as the equivalent of the feudal mode of production? Hasty comparisons have led certain authors to qualify one African chieftaincy or another as feudal. However, here again, generally speaking, there was no private ownership or assignment of land, hence no fief. The land was an inalienable community asset, so much so that the group of conquerors who seized political power often left responsibility for the communal lands to their indigenous controller, the master of the land, the Masitensoba, for example. Indeed, the authority of the aristocracy was exercised over goods and chattels and men, without affecting landed property itself, which was the prerogative of the autochthones. 19. Moreover, the nobility in Africa did not go in for trade. Nobility was always a birthright and no one could dispossess the holder of his rank. Finally, one must take into account socio-economic structures such as the matrilineal family system which originally so strongly characterized African societies, at least before later influences like Islam or Western civilization gradually introduced the patrilineal system. This social structure, so. 17. J. Shuriken L.A., 1964, page 119. See also 8. By 1974, for penetrating and documented critique of the elastic Marxist theses of Majmal Diop, 1971-2. 18. Even if one holds with J. Mackay, citing Bloch and Gantis, that it is not the fief, but the relation between lord and vassal that is crucial, it is clear that the one cannot be entirely dissociated from the other. The feudalistic relations that this author describes appear moreover to be rather peculiar to the interlocutoran societies, and were often established, as in Nkol or Buha, between members of the upper caste. Under these circumstances, is the institutional reality involved the same as that in Europe, for example? 19. Cf. V. Cabor, 1962. 741. Methodology and African Prehistory. Important in defining the prominent role of WOMEN in the community, also had economic, political and spiritual consequences, since it played the remarkable role in the inheritance both of material wealth and of the rights to royal succession, as in Ghana. Uterine kinship appears to have come from the depths of African prehistory, at the time when permanent settlement during the Neolithic exalted the domestic functions of women, to the point where they became the central element in a social entity. Numerous practices stemmed from it, such as the joking relationship, brother-sister marriages, the bride price paid to the parents of the future wife, and so on. Given these conditions, how shall the characteristic evolution of prehistoric African societies be described? The first thing to know is that, during this period, Africa served in intercontinental relations as a pole and a central source for the invention and dissemination of techniques. But a subordinate and peripheral status rather quickly followed that exalted role, not only because of the conflict of internal factors mentioned above, but also because of the tapping of African resources and services without any adequate counterpart, in the form, for example, of an equivalent transfer of capital and techniques. This exploitation of Africa lasted several thousand years and had three peak periods. First, in antiquity, following the decline of Egypt, the Nile Valley and the other ROMEN provinces in North Africa were exploited to become the granary of ROME. In addition to food, Africa supplied the ROMEN Empire with an enormous quantity of imports, including wild animals, slaves and gladiators, for the army, the palaces, the latifundia and the sanguinary games of the circus. In the 16th century the sinister era of the slave trade began. Finally, in the 19th century, dependence took the form of territorial occupation and colonization. The simultaneous and complementary phenomena of capital accumulation in Europe and the rise of the Industrial Revolution could not be conceived of without the enforced contributions from Asia, the Americas and especially Africa. Parallel to these phenomena, even during the centuries when external rapacity was not too pronounced from antiquity to the 16th century, many internal contradictions in the African system itself constituted homebred structural handicaps, which prevented any moves from within the societies towards more progressive structures. The J. Shuriken L.A. has shrewdly observed in respect of the Asiatic mode of production but with even greater relevance to the case of Africa, including the colonial period in this system, in fact, the sharpening of class exploitation, far from destroying the structures founded on collective ownership of the land, strengthened them. They constituted the framework within which the surpluses were drawn off, the very prerequisite of exploitation. It was, of course, the basic communities which supplied the surpluses. The Africa of clans and villages which was still in existence was little given to private possession of land, the an asset as widespread and as precious, but also as free, as air, and was for a very long time ignorant of the acquisition of. 742. Conclusion. From nature in the raw to liberated humanity, land as a source of conflicts between social groups. But that was not the only archaic social form found in Africa. The vicious circle of low-level technology and production was at once the cause and the consequence of a dwindling population within a continental space that was virtually unlimited. Natural obstacles impeded long-range commercial traffic which, as a result, never became widespread and too often concerned luxury products usually destined for the palaces. Indeed, without subscribing to the Platonovite notion of the geographical milieu, which is only one of the facets of the historical milieu, the ecological barriers mentioned in the introduction to this volume must be taken into account. It should be noted that, wherever barriers to trade were overcome, whether wholly or in part, as in the Nile Valley and to a lesser degree in the Niger Valley, social development blossomed as a consequence of an increase in population and private ownership. Thus, in Black Africa, apart from a few exceptions, there was neither slavery nor feudalism as these are understood in the West. To degrees one cannot even say that there were African variations of these systems as their characteristic elements were missing. Does that mean that Africa was not subject to the general principles governing human evolution? Obviously not. But even if these principles are common to all humanity, and even if we grant that the tenets of historical materialism are universally applicable, one should keep in mind the main points at issue, which are, on the one hand, the similarities which can be observed between the productive forces and the relations of production, and, on the other, the transition from a classless form of society to social forms of class conflict. So, the African situation should be analyzed not by a return to the doctrines of Karl Marx, but rather in teeny light shed by his thought. If reason is universal, a role of scholars is to apply it to each of its practical manifestations. In short, Africa presents a remarkably continuous indigenous mode of production similar to other primitive communities, but with fundamental differences, in particular its avoidance of private or state ownership. 21. Then there was a gradual and sporadic transition toward state forms, themselves long immersed in the network of underlying pre-state relations, but gradually extricating themselves by internal impetus and external pressure from the matrix of destructurized primitive collectivism, and restructuring themselves on the basis of private property and the growth of the state, in a capitalist mode of production, first dominant, then monopolistic. The colonial state was in fact created to administer the commercial. 20. J. Chesney Hughes, 1969, page 36. What appears well established is the quasi-impossibility of considering that pre-colonial African societies, except in rare instances, depend on a system of slavery or on feudalism properly so called. 21. The avoidance not linked to a specific congenital status, nor to a different nature, but to an original historical milieu. 743. Methodology and African prehistory. Periphery of capitalism, before giving way in the middle of the 20th century to an independent capitalist state. Alternatively, the transition was from a dominant community to a dominant colonial capitalism, and thereafter to a socialist type of development. In any case, one fact in Africa compels recognition, since the structure of society has not changed for at least 500 years, and in spite of an increase in population, the productive forces have stagnated, though not to the exclusion of sporadic localized growths which usually failed to flourish. This stagnation did not exclude the extraordinary blossoming of art, nor the refinement of personal relations. It seems as if the Africans devoted the essence of their creative energy to these domains. 22. In short, the material civilization which originated in African and Asian tropical latitudes during prehistory radiated north as far as the European isthmus, where, by means of the conjunction of advanced technology and the accumulation of capital, it became established and, as it were, crystallized brilliantly. Will this planetary system be transformed from its western core, or from the periphery, reenacting a role of the barbarians in the history of the Roman Empire. History will tell. What we can affirm is that the prehistory of Africa is the history of the development of a primate into a human being and later, the humanization of nature by this agent vector responsible for all progress, a long march wherein the balance between nature and man was gradually upset in favor of reason. There remained the balance or imbalance between the human groups both within the continent and outside. However, the more productive forces increase, the more antagonisms sharpen the edge of interested motives and the will to power. The liberation struggles which today are still raging in certain territories of Africa are both the indicator and the negation of the attempt to domesticate the continent within a system that might be called the African mode of underproduction. But from the earliest mumblings of Homo habilis, it was and is the same struggle for liberation, the same stubborn and irrepressible purpose to achieve higher things by freeing oneself from alienation, whether by nature or by man. In Africa, the creation, the self-creation of man which began thousands of millennia ago still continues. In other words, there is a sense in which the prehistory of Africa has not yet ended. 22. That is why, in defining any African mode of production in the future, particular attention should be paid to the sociological, political and ideological institutions, with special reference to the analyses of A. Gramsci and N. Poulant Sars. 744. Plate CO and CL. Laboratory set up at Rosso-Bethai for investigating the development of the delta of the river Senegal Benontet. Plate CO and CL. 2. Skull of Australopithecus boise, or no site photo J. Oster, Musée de l'Homme. 745. Members of the International Scientific Committee for the Drafting of a General History of Africa. The dates cited below refer to dates of membership. Professor J.F. 8. The J. Nigeria from 1971 Editor Volume VI Professor F. 8. Albuquerque Murray Obershill from 1975 Professor A. 8. Bohanganik Form 1971 Editor Volume VIH. E. Bubo Gamma Niger 1971-8H. He Mrs. M. Bull Zambia from 1971 Professor D. Chana was Zimbabwe from 1975 Professor P. D. Curtin USA from 1975 Professor J. Davis France from 1971 Professor M. Difula Angola from 1978 Professor H. DJ Tunisia from 1975 Professor Keith Antagdidop Senegal from 1971 Professor J. D. Fidj UK from 1971 H. E. M. LFAC Morocco from 1971 Editor Volume II by Professor J. L. Franco Cuba from 1971 M.R.M. H. I. Gal El Somalia from 1971 Professor Dr. V. L. Grodnelli. Italy from 1971 Professor E. Haberland Federal Republic of Germany from 1971 Dr. Ahab Ethiopia from 1971 H. E. Amadou Hapatba Mali 1971-8 Dr. ISL Harir Libya from 1978 Dr. IHR Bak Czechoslovakia from 1971 Dr. A. Jones Liberia from 1971 Abe Alexis Kagame Rwanda from 1971 Professor I.M. Kimebo Tanzania from 1971 Professor J. Kiserbo Upper Volta from 1971 Editor Volume I.M. D. Laya Niger from 1979 Dr. Aledneb USSR from 1971 Dr. G. Mokhtar Egypt from 1971 Editor Volume II Professor P. Mutable Uganda from 1975 Professor D. T. Nina Senegal from 1971 Editor Volume IV Professor L. D. Benjkanko Botswana from 1971 Methodology and African Prehistory Professor T. Sobenga People's Republic of the Congo from Professor B. A. Ogakermia from 1971 Editor Volume V Professor C. Ravojanapari Madagascar from 1971 The late Drive W. Rodney Diana from 1979 The late Professor M. Shibaka Sudan 1971-80 Professor Y. 8. Talag Singapore from 1975 Professor A. Type Cerro da Motor Portugal from 1978 Manager T. Chwibangu 1975 Zaire from 1971 Professor J. Vang Belgium from 1971 Ruhan. D.R.E. Williams, Trinidad and Tobago 1976-8. Professor A. 8. Masrui Camille, Editor, Volume VII. Not a member of the Committee Secretariat of the International Scientific Committee MRM. Glalie, Division of Cultural Studies, UNESCO, 1 Rue Miolis, 75,015 Paris. 748. Biographies of authors. Introduction. J. K. Serbo, Upper Volta Specialist in Methods of Teaching African History, author of a number of works dealing with Black Africa and its history, Professor of History at the Centre d'Enseignement Supérieur, Ouagadougou, Secretary-General of the Conseil africain et Malgache pour l'Enseignement Supérieur. Chapter IJD. Fidge, UK, Specialist in the History of West Africa, author and co-editor of a number of publications on African history, Pro-Vice-Chancellor at the University of Birmingham, and Director of the Centre of African Studies at that university. Chapter 2H. E. Bubo H.M.A. Niger, Specialist in Oral Traditions, author of numerous works on the history of Niger and the Sudan region, former Director of the Centre Regional de Recherche et de Documentation sur les Traditions Orales et pour le Développement des Langues Africaines CRDOTOLA. Chapter 3 P.D. Curtin, USA, Specialist on the history of the slave trade, author of numerous works on the subject, Professor of History at Johns Hopkins University. Chapter 4T. Obenda, People's Republic of the Congo, Specialist in African Languages, author of a number of articles on African history and of works on Africa in the Ancient World, Professor at the Faculty of Letters of Marine and Arabic University. Chapter 5H. DJ Tunisia, Specialist in the Medieval History of the Maghreb, author of numerous articles on the history of Tunisia, Professor at the University of Tunis. Chapter 6 IHRBAC, Czechoslovakia, Specialist in African and Arab History, author of numerous works on the history of Africa, Professor, Head of the Arab and African Section, Institute of Oriental Studies, Prague. Chapter 7 Jules Vangsina, Belgium, Specialist in African History, author of numerous works on the history of Equatorial Africa, Professor of History at the University of Wisconsin, USA. Chapter 8 Hampate Molly, Specialist in Oral Traditions, author of numerous works on ancient African empires and African civilization. Chapter 9 Z. I. Iskander, Egypt, Specialist in Egyptian History, author of numerous works and articles on ancient Egypt, Director General of Technical Affairs, Department of Antiquities. Chapter IOP Diane Senegal, Doctor of Political and Economic Science, linguist, author of 2 works on African political power and on Wolof grammar, Assistant Professor at the University of Dakar. Chapter IID. 8. Moldrop, USSR, Specialist in African Social Sciences, author of a number of works on Africa, member of the USSR Academy of Sciences. Methodology and African Prehistory. Chapter 12 Jules H. Greenberg, USA, linguist, author of numerous articles and works on anthropology and linguistics, Professor of Anthropology at Stanford University. Chapter 13 S. Diamali, Specialist in Tropical Geography, Professor of Geography at the University of Abidjan. Chapter 14 Mabagunj, Nigeria, author of numerous works on the Yoruba, Professor of Geography at the University of Ibadan. Chapter 15 Jules K. Serbo. Chapter 16 R. Said Egypt, physicist, Chairman of the Egyptian Geological Survey and Mining Authority. Chapter 16 H. For France, Doctor of Science, Specialist in the Geology of Non-Metropolitan France, author of works on the geology of West Africa, lecturer at the University of Dakar and the University of Paris VI, Chairman of the Technical Committee on the Geology of the Quaternary at the Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique C&Rs. Chapter 17 L. Bilout, France, Specialist in African Prehistory, author of numerous works and articles on North Africa, former Director of the Muséum National d'Histoire Naturelle, Paris. Chapter 17 Y. Cottens, France, Specialist in Prehistory, author of numerous works on the origin of mankind, Deputy Director at the Muséum National d'Histoire Naturelle, Paris. Chapter 18 R. Leakey, UK, Specialist in African Prehistory, author of works on excavations relating to the origin of man in East Africa, head of the International Louis Leakey Memorial Institute for African Prehistory, Nairobi. Chapter 19 Jules E.G. Sutton, UK, Specialist in Prehistory, author of numerous works and articles on African prehistory, former President of the Department of Archaeology at the University of Oxford. Chapter 20 Jules D. Clark USA specialist in African prehistory, author of numerous publications on the prehistory and ancient civilizations of Africa, professor of history and archaeology. Chapter 21 R. D. Bell de Hermans France specialist in prehistory, author of numerous works and articles on African prehistory, engaged in research at the CNRS, Paris. Chapter 21 F. Van Noten Belgium specialist in prehistory, author of works and publications on prehistory, curator of the Royal Museum of Prehistory and Archaeology. Chapter 22 L. Below. Chapter 23 H. J. Hugot France specialist in prehistory, author of numerous works on the natural history of the prehistoric and quaternary periods, deputy director of the Muséum National d'Histoire Naturelle, Paris. Chapter 24 C. T. Shaw UK author of numerous works on the prehistory of West Africa, professor of ancient history, vice president of the Pan-African Congress on Prehistory. 750. Biographies of authors. Chapter 25 F. de Bono UK specialist in Egyptian prehistory, author of works on prehistoric research, research worker. Chapter 26 Jules Serbo. Chapter 27 R. Porters France devoted most of his life to African botanical research. Former professor at the MUSEUM National d'Histoire Naturelle, Paris, deceased. Chapter 27 Jules Barraud France author of numerous works on tropical plants, deputy director of the Laboratory of Ethnobotany and Ethnozoology, Paris. Chapter 28 Jules Vercout France specialist in ancient history, author of numerous publications on ancient Egypt and its archaeology, professor of history, director of the Institut Français d'Archéologie Orientale, Cairo. CONCLUSIONJ Serbo. 751. Bibliography. The publishers wish to point out that while every effort has been made to ensure that the details in this bibliography are correct, some errors may occur as a result of the complexity and the international nature of the work. Abbreviations and list of periodicals. A. American Anthropologist, Washington, D.C. AARSC Annals D.F. Académie Royale des Sciences Coloniales, Brussels. C.A. Art Archaeological and Technical Abstracts, NEW York. ACPM Annals of the Cape Provincial Museums, Grahamstown. Axiar Call. Intern. Archaeology. Africa. Axe du Archéologue International d'Archéologie Africaine, Fort Lady, III December 6, 1966. Publications de l'Institut National Chadient pour les Sciences Humaines, Fort Lady. Axe du Call. Intern. LNA Acts du Second Colloque International de Linguistique Negro-Africaine, Dakar. Acts II Congram. PPEQ Acts of the Second Pan-African Congress of Prehistory and Quaternary Study, Algiers, September-October 1950 to Acts III PCPQs Acts of the Third Pan-African Congress of Prehistory and Quaternary Studies, Livingstone, 1955, London, Chatto and Windus, 1957 Acts II Congram. UISVP Acts of the Third International Congress of Prehistoric and Protohistoric Sciences, Zurich, 1950 Acts IV Congram. PPEQ Acts du IV Congrès Panafricain de Préhistoire et d'études du Quaternaire, Leopoldville, 1959, Tourbillon, 1962, EMRC 40 Acts V Congram. PPEQ Acts of the Fifth Pan-African Congress of Prehistory and Quaternary Studies, Tenerife, 1966 Acts VII Congram. PPEQ Acts du VII Congrès Panafricain de Préhistorique et d'études du Quaternaire, Addis Ababa, 1971 Acts VI Congram. UISVP Acts of the Sixth International Congress of Prehistoric and Protohistoric Sciences, ROME, 1962 Acts VX Congram. UISVP Acts of the GTH International Congress of Prehistoric and Protohistoric Sciences, Nice, 1976 Acts 46 E Congram. AFA's Acts du 46 E Congrès de l'Association Française pour l'Avancement des Sciences, Montpellier, 1922 Acts Call. Intern. Fur. Acts du Colloque International. Les Fur à Traverse les Ages, Hommes et Techniques, Nancy, 3 to 6 October 1956, Annals the Eldest, Memoir number 16, Nancy, 1956 Acts IXI and QUA Congram. Acts of the GTH International Association Congress for Quaternal Research, Christchurch, NEW Zealand Acts XB Congram. IAAP Acts of the 15th International Congress of Anthropology and Prehistoric Archaeology, Paris, 1931 ADC Abhan Lungen der Deutschen Geographen Talks Afrikaner Bulletin, Universität Warsawski, Studium Africanistics Nie, Warsaw AG Archaeologia Geographica, Hamburg, West Germany AG American Geographical Society, NEW York AHS African Historical Studies, Boston University, African Studies Center. Boston AJHG American Journal of Human Genetics, American Society of Human Genetics, Chicago AJPA American Journal of Physical Anthropology, American Association of Physical Anthropologists, Philadelphia ALR African Language Review Now African Languages International African Institute, London ALS African Language Studies, School of Oriental and African Studies, London AMRC Annals du Musée Royal d'Afrique Centrale, Sciences Humaines, Tourbillon, Belgium AMRC The Annals du Musée Royal du Congo Belgique and African Notes, University of Ibadan, Institute of African Studies, Ibadan, Nigeria Annals. Economies, Sociétés, Civilizations, Paris and Africa. Antiquités africaines, Editions du Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, Paris ASA The Annals du Service d'Antiquités de l'Égypte, Cairo. Methodology and African Prehistory. ASEM Annals of the South African Museum, Cape TOW and Ative Agronomie Tropicale, Institut de Recherches Agronomiques Tropicales et de Cultures, Vivrières, Paris BASEQUA Bulletin de Association Sénégalaise pour l'étude du quaternaire des fous est africain, Dakar Fan, Sénégal BAUG's Bulletin of the All. Union Geographical Society BCH's Bulletin du Comité d'études historiques et scientifiques d'Afrique occidentale française, Dakar BFA Bulletin of the Faculty of Arts, Cairo BGHD Bulletin de Géographie historique et descriptive, Comité d'études historiques, Paris BGS A Bulletin of the Geological Society of America, NEW York BIE Bulletin de l'Institut d'Égypte, Cairo BIEG Bulletin Information et de Liaison d'Instituts et Sociologie et de Géographie Tropicale, Abidjan BIFAN Bulletin d'F Institut Français pour les Fondamentaux d'Afrique Noire, Dakar BIFAO Bulletin de l'Institut Français d'Archéologie Orientale, Cairo BIRSC Memoirs de l'Institut de Recherches Scientifiques du Congo DJBE Bulletin du Jardin Botanique d'F. Brussels BML Bowman Memorial Lectures, The American Geographical Society, NEW York BNHS and Bulletin of News of the Historical Society of Nigeria, Ibadan BS A Bulletin de la Société d'Anthropologie de Paris, Paris BSA British School of Archaeology in Egypt and Egyptian Research Account, London BSOA's Bulletin of the School of Oriental and African Studies, London BSERP Bulletin de la Société d'études et de recherches préhistoriques, Les France BSGC Bulletin de la Société de Géographie, Commercial de Bordeaux, Bordeaux, France BSGF Bulletin de la Société Géologique de France, Paris BSHNAN Bulletin de la Société d'Histoire Naturelle d'Afrique du Nord BSL Bulletin de la Société de Linguistique de Paris, Paris BSPF Bulletin de la Société Préhistorique Française, Paris BSPM Bulletin de la Société Préhistorique de Mara. Rabat BSPTG Bulletin de la Société Préhistorique et Protohistorique Gabonaise, Libreville BSRBAP Bulletin de la Société Royale Belgique d'Anthropologie et de Préhistoire, Brussels BSRBB Bulletin de la Société Royale de Botanique de Belgique, Brussels Bushels PA Boston University Papers on Africa, African Studies Center, Boston University, 1967 CA Current Anthropology, Chicago CAHI of Anthropology et d'Ecologie Humaine, Paris CDAPC Compagnie de Diamants d'Angola, Lisbon CAHI of d'Etudes Africaines, Paris, Mutter-CAHI of l'Histoire Épatillon, Cairo CHMCI of l'Histoire Mondiale, Librairie de Meridians, Paris CJDAS The Canadian Journal of African Studies Review Canada and the Etudes Africaines Canadian Association of African Studies, Department of Geography, Carleton University, Ottawa, Class Centre de Linguistique Appliquée de Dakar CMIs de la Madica, Tourbillon Gall. C&Rs Colloques Internationaux du Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, Paris CORSDOMIs de Tufas de la Recherche Scientifique et Technique du Très Mer, Sciences Humaines, Paris des congrès de mode des sciences d'Académie des sciences. Paris des congrès de la Société de Biogéographie et East Africa Journal. East African Institute of Social and Cultural Affairs. Nairobi Ecol. Monogram. Ecological Monographs Econ. Bob. Economic Botany Geographical Analysis. Swedish Society of Anthropology and Geography. Stockholm the Geographical Journal. London G.S. Baby Geological Society of America Bulletin. Geological Society of America. Boulder. U.S. GSCM Geological Society of America Memoir. Boulder. U.S. Leom. Cahiers d'Ethnologie. D. Geography. Yet D. Linguistic. Paris Height Hespres Temudo. Université MOHM Faculté de Lettres et des Sciences Humaines. Rabat. Morocco IJAH's International Journal of African Historical Studies. Boston University. African Studies Center. Boston. 754. Bibliography. By J. A. Bell International Journal of American Linguistics. Linguistic Society of America. Chicago, USA 1 and EAC Institute National pour l'étude agronomique du Congo Belge IPH International Association of Paper Historians Ars Institut de Recherches Sahariennes Université Alger ISHM Institute de Sciences Humaines du Mali JAF Journal of American Folklore, American Folklore Society, University of Texas, Austin, USA Washington, D.C. Yacht Journal of African History, CUP, London. NEW York Shell Journal of African Languages, Hertford, England JAO's Journal of the American Oriental Society, NEW Haven GATB A Journal d'Agronomie Tropicale et de Botany Catholique J Africa. Social Journal of the African Society, London J A Journal of Egyptian Archaeology, Egypt Exploration Society, London JASC Journal of the East African Swahili Committee. Kampala JAH's Journal Historique du Sokoto JAH's and Journal of the Historical Society of Nigeria. Ibadan JMA's Journal of Modern African Studies, CUP, London. JAN's Journal of Negro Studies, Washington, D.C. JRAI Journal of the Royal Anthropological Institute of Great Britain and Ireland. London JRA's Journal of the Royal Asiatic Society of Great Britain and Ireland. London JWAL Journal of West African Languages. University of Ibadan. Department of Linguistics and Nigerian Languages, Ibadan, Nigeria. Kush, Journal of the Sudan Antiquities Service, Khartoum LNR Lagos Notes and Records, University of Lagos, School of African Studies, Lagos, Nigeria. My Memoirs d'I Académie d'Inscriptions et Belles Lettres, B.S., Paris M. Memoirs d'I Académie Melgag, Tanana Reeve, Madagascar Social link. Memoirs de la Société Linguistique IRCB Memoirs de l'Institut Royal du Congo Belge, Brussels M. Masque Newsletter, The University Museum, Philadelphia MS The Memoirs de la Société de Biogéographie, Paris Notes Africaines, Bulletin Information de l'IFN, Dakar OJs The Ohio Journal of Science, Ohio Academy of Science, Columbus, U.S.COM Duma Magazine, Rivers State Council for Arts and Culture. Port Harcourt, Nigeria. PA Practical Anthropology Now Methodology American Society of Methodology, Pasadena, USA PR Polish Review, Polish Institute of Arts and Sciences in America, NEW York Proc. Bergport. Proceedings of the Symposium held at Wartenstein, Austria, on the Origin of African Domesticated Plants, 1956 Proc. Conference. Called. Proceedings of the Conference of Cultural Ecology, MUSEUM of Canada Bulletin Proc. VII Congram. INQUA Proceedings of the VLLDH International Congress on Quaternary Studies, Denver and Boulder, 1965 Proc. IX Congram. INQUA Proceedings of the IX International Association Congress for Quaternal Research, Christchurch, NEW Zealand Proc. IL Intern. WSC Proceedings of the Ilroad International West African Conference, Ibadan, 1949 Proc. Sem. ASCWA Proceedings of the Seminar on Application of Sciences in Examination of Works of Art, Boston, Mass., 1958 PDRs Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society of London, A. Mathematics and Physical Sciences, London R. The Revue Africaine, Journal des Travaux de la Société Historique Algérienne, Algiers Rap. 12 ECISH Rapport du 12 E Congrès International de Sciences Historiques au Réseau Revista de l'Estudi Orientale, Scuola Orientale de la Universidad IROME, Review d'Egyptology, Paris SAAA South African Association for the Advancement of Science, Johannesburg South African Archaeological Bulletin, Cape T. OWNSAJ South African Journal of Science, Johannesburg SLR Sierra Leone Language Review SPTG Société Préhistorique et Protohistorique Gabonese, Libreville SWJA Southwestern Journal of Anthropology Now Journal of Anthropological Research University of NDW Mexico, Department of Anthropology, Albuquerque, NDW Mexico. USATGSSA Transactions OJ The Geological Society of South Africa, Johannesburg DHSG Transactions of the Historical Society of Ghana, Legon, Accra. 755. Methodology and African Prehistory. TMI Traduits et Memoires de l'Institut d'Ethnologie, Université de Paris, Paris Traf. CMAP Traduits du Centre d'Archéologie Méditerranéenne d'Académie Polonaise de Sciences Education K. Mikulowski Warsaw Traf. 1 Ars Traduits de l'Institut de Recherches Sahariennes, University of Algeria, Algiers UJ Uganda Journal, Uganda Society, Kampala WA World Archaeology, Henley on Thames, England WAN West African Archaeological Newsletter, Ibadan WHAA West African Journal of Archaeology, Ibadan War West African Review, Elder, Dempster and Company, London Zeitschrift des Ingenieuren, Insprachen, Berlin Z. Fonte, Zeitschrift für Phonetik und Alchemie Sprachwissenschaft, ADMS, W. Y. 1964 Post-Pharaonic Nubia in the Light of Archaeology, J. 50. Chap. 28 Aguc. H. 1972 Traditions Orals X Structures de Ponce, SAD Methodology, CHM, XIV, 2, pages 260-97. Chaps 4, 7, 10 Aitken, M. J. 1961 Physics and Archaeology New York, InterScience Publishers. Chap. 9 Aitken, M. J. 1963 Magnetic Location, and D. Bra 12 and E. Higgs EDS Science in Archaeology London, Thames and Hudson pages 555-08. Chap. 9 Aitken, M. J. 1970 Dating by Archaeomagnetic and Thermoluminescent Methods, PDRs, 269, II 93. Pages 77-88. Chap. 9 Jidban, I 8. 1967 Dahomey and its Neighbors, 1708-1818 Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. General Introd. Alicoa, E. J. 1968a The Use of Oral Literacy Data for History, JAF, 81. Chap. 7 Alicoa, E. J. 1968b Songs as Historical Data. Examples from the Niger Delta, Research Review, v. 1. Chap. 7 Alicoa, E. J. 1971 The Niger Delta States and Their Neighbors, 1609-1800, in JFA J and M. Crowder eds History of West Africa London, Longman Volume I, pages 269-303. Chap. 3 Alicoa, E. J. 1973 Oral Tradition and Archaeology. The Case of Oyoma, OM, 1, 1. General Introd, Chap. For all alloy, Agers B. All Jurife IB all Agers all Naden all AIOT 1370 for over 1954 to 5 Bugger all Omo FI Arapal Shumo Mogadishu in Arabic. General Introd, Chaps 5, 6 All Baydak Q 1928 Documents the Narratives Histoire Al-Ghaib TR. And Education Levi Prowan Sol Paris. Chap. 5 All Shinkati, 8. 1910 All Wasat Fi Tarajim Ubashinkat Cairo. Chap. 6 Alberti, L. 1811 Description Physique et Historique de Kafras sur la Côte Méridionale d'Afrique Amsterdam, Boskamp. Chap. 6 Alexander, Sir J. E. 1967 An Expedition of Discovery into the Interior of Africa New York, Johnson Reprint Corporation. Chap. 6 Alexander, J. and Alexander, S. 1968 Contribution de l'Élaboration d'une stratigraphie du Quaternaire, Basic sur la variations de climat dans un region du monde intertropical, Vile Congrès INQUA, 7. Chap. 21 Alexander, p. 1970 Afrique Centre Équatorial et Centre Occidental, in Histoire Générale des Territoires ed. H. Deschamps, Volume 1 Paris, Puf. Chap. 10 Alexis, Kate. 1973 Sur la classification anthropologique de la population indigène de l'Afrique, les problèmes fondamentaux des études africaines Moscow. Chap. 11 Element, H. 1955 Prehistoire d'F Afrique Paris, Boot BTR. The Prehistory of Africa London, Hutchinson 1957. Chaps 13, 21-4, 28 Element, H. I 960 Découverte d'un atelier de la Chouline supérieure, 10 place, à la limité du tout étudiant et du 3 étudiant dans le monde du Sahara occidental BSPF, 57, pages 421-3. Chap. 23 Element, H. 1962 Les origines de l'homme, Bilan de la science Paris, Fayard Conclusion. Element, H. 1963 Considerations sur la chronologie du quaternaire Saharian, BSGF, 5, pages 627-34. Chap. 13 Element, H. 1975 A Letisms Hispano-Americanes et Sicilo-Tunisiens aux Temps Chulines, Anthropology, 79, 3, pages 399-430. Chap. 22 Element, H. 1975 The Limité Pliocene Quaternaire That Definition du Quaternaire, Prof. 0 Pledged to Side, Livre Unilater du Professor Roses C. at Warsaw. Chap. 16 Element, H. 1976 Variations climatiques dans les zones désertiques de l'Afrique nord équatoriale durant la quarantaine des millénaires. Acts VII Congram. PPEQ. Addis Ababa. Pages 337-47. Chap. 16. 756. Bibliography. Element, H. and Chambellon, J. 1956 Industrie Échoulie and Institut de l'Udfairs, dans le monde du Sahara occidental BSPF, 53, pages 200-214. Chap. 23 Element, H. Chambellon, J. and Margat, J. 1965 Contribution à la chronologie préhistorique africaine. Essai de corrélation entre les dépôts quaternaires du bassin du Sahara et du bassin du Tafilok Mara Congrès préhistorique de France, Monaco, 1959, pages 161-67. Chap. 16 Allen, J.W. T. 1959 The Collection of Swahili Literature and its Relation to Oral Tradition and History, D&R, S3, pages 224-7. Chap. 6 Almagro Bash, M. 1946 Prehistoria del Norte de Africa y del Sahara Español Barcelona, Instituto de Estudios Africanos. Chap. 23 Amaria, M. 1863/Diploma del Archivio Florentino Florence. Chap. 5 M.E.R. M. 1935 The Excavations in the Prehistoric Site at Modi, BFA, II, pages 176-8. Chap. 25 of M.E.R. M. 1953 Canadi Excavations in the Wadi Dagli, BFA, XV, pages 97-100. Chap. 25 of M.E.R. M. 1953 B Excavations in the Wadi Dagli, BFA, XV, pages 201-5. Chap. 25 Anciens de Favorx, 8. 1955 Legisements Prehistoriques de Cancenia, Ax II Congram. PPEQ, pages 333-4. Chap. 21 Anciens de Favorx, 8. 1957 Industries sur Gatlets Spéciaux Plateaux de Bideno Katanga, Congo Belgique Ax IIPCPQs, pages 210-13. Chap. 21 Anciens de Favorx, 8. 1962 Evolution parallèle de deux plusieurs techniques au Paléolithique ancien et moyen sur les hauts plateaux Catadis. Fools 1960-61, Acts VI Congram. UISBP, III, pages 232-5. Chap. 21 Anderson, B. 1870 Narrative of a Journey to Muzardu, the capital of the Western Mandingos, New York. Green. Chap. 6 Antoine, M. 1938 Notes de Préhistoire Marocaine, XIV, UN Conte de Resurgence du Paléolithique Moyen Matiniquil, Press Casablanca, BSPM, 12. Chap. 23 Chapters, D. E. 1955 The Gold Coast in Transition Princeton, N.J., Princeton University Press. Chap. 3 Arab Fakage 1897-1901 Histoire de la Conquête de Tabassini XVIe siècle ed. R. Bassett, 2 vols Paris, Leroux. Chap. 6 Arabberge, C. 1949 Sur la présence dans les villes Frenchy and Algérie des vestiges éventuels d'industrie humaine, CRAs, 229, pages 66-7. Chap. 22 Arabberge, C. 1954 Léominian Fossil d'Eternifine Algérie CRAs, 239, pages 293-5. Chap. 24 Arabberge, C. 1962 État actuel de recherches sur les quaternaires en Afrique du Nord, XIV Congram, ppq. 40, pages 255-77. Chap. 16 Arabberge, C. 1966 Aperçu sur les résultats des fouilles du gisement d'Eternifine, XV Congram, ppec. I, pages 129-36. Chaps 16, 24 Arabberge, C. and Copens, Y. 1967 Sur la découverte dans les Pleistocène inférieur de la vallée de l'Omo Ethiopie et un man débile d'Australopithecine, CRAs, 265, pages 589-90. Chap. 17 Arabberge, C. and Copens, Y. 1968 Découverte d'un Australopithecine nouveau dans les gisements de l'Omo Ethiopie SAJs, 64, 2, pages 58-9. Chap. 17 Arabberge, C. and Hofstetter, R. 1954 Découverte en Afrique du Nord des restes humains du Paléolithique inférieur, CRAs, 239, pages 72-4. Chap. 24 Arabberge, C. and Hofstetter, R. 1955 Gisement d'Eternifine. Resultats des fouilles de 1955 at Découvertes de nouveaux restes de l'Anthropus, CRAs, 241, pages 431-3. Chap. 24 Arabberge, C. and Hofstetter, R. 1963 Gisement d'Eternifine, IPH Archives, XXXII, Paris, Masson. Chap. 22 Arbousset, T. 1842 Relation d'un voyage d'exploration Paris. Chap. 6 Arkel, 8. J. 1949 8 The Old Stone Age in the Anglo-Egyptian Sudan Khartoum, Sudan Antiquities Service, The Occasional Papers No. 1. Chap. 25 Arkel, 8. J. 1949 The Early Khartoum, an account of the excavations of an early occupation site carried out by the Sudan Government Antiquities Service, $1,944-$194 London, Oxford University Press. Chaps 23 greater than 35, 28 Arkel, A. J. 1950 Gold Coast copies of 5th to 7th century bronze lamps, Antiquity, 24, pages 38-40. Chap. 24 Arkel, 8. J. 1953 Shahainid, an account of the excavation of a Neolithic occupation site carried out for the Sudan Government Antiquities Service in 1949 London, Oxford University Press. Chaps 23, 25, 28 Arkel, 8. J. 1954 The Late Ashuline of F. Shahainid, Kush, I, pages 30-4. Chap. 23 Arkel, 8. J. 1961 History of the Sudan from the Earliest Times to 1821, 2nd ed. London, Athlone Press. Chap. 28 Arkel, 8. J. 1964 Wanyuga, and an archaeological reconnaissance of the southwest Libyan desert. The British and Eddy Expedition 1951 London/New York. Oxford University Press. Chap. 23. 757. Methodology and African Prehistory. Arkell, 8. J. 1975 Prehistory of the Nile Valley Handbuch das Orientalistik. VII. Volume 2. Platinum A. Number 1. Leiden, Brill. Chap. 28 Arkell, A. J. and Sandford, K. S. 1933 Paleolithic Man and the Nile Valley in Nubia and Upper Egypt, Chicago. Chap. 23 Armstrong, R. 1964 The Use of Linguistics in Ethnogeography, India. Vangsana et al., The Historian in Tropical Africa, London, Oxford University Press. Chap. 10 Armstrong, R. 1971 The Collection of Oral Traditions in Africa, 08, pages 579 to 83. Chap. 7 Arnett, E. J. 1922 The Rise of the Sokoto Fulani Kano. Chap. 6 EXEQUA 1964 and following years BASEQUA number 1 and following. Chap. 16 EXEQUA 1966 8 Tabir Cherches sur le quadernaire de l'Ouest africain, 1 Sirat, BIFAN, 28, pages 371-429. Chap. 24 CPASEQUA. The XEQA 1967 8 Tabir Cherches sur le quadernaire de l'Ouest africain, 2 Sirat, BIFAN, A. 29, pages 821-65. Chap. 24 CPASEQA. The XEQJJA 1969 8 Tabir Cherches sur le quadernaire de l'Ouest africain, 3 Sirat, BIFAN, A. 31, pages 210-83. Chap. 24 CPASEQA. Gatherton, J.H. 1972 Excavations at Gama Bay and Yabila Rock Shelters, Sierra Leone, Artaha, 2, pages 39-74. Chap. 24 Gatherton, J.H. 1973 The Stone Age Iron Age Transition in Northeast Sierra Leone, Underground West Africa, 7. Chap. 24 Albiravel, H. 1949 Click Maps FORTS, Desertification de l'Afrique tropicale Paris, Société d'éditions géographiques, Maritimes et coloniales. Chap. 13 Albiravel, H. 1962 Savanization tropicale et glaciations quaternaires, en Ansonia, 2, 1, page 1684. Chap. 13 Ayak, G. 1961 Les Archites Marocains, height, 2. Chap. 6. Bob, 8. H. 1972 Aspects de Civilisation Africaine Person, Culture, Religion Paris, Presence Africaine. Chap. 8 Bach, 8. H. Encard Air, M. 1957 Tierno Boker, Lycée de Bandiagara Paris, Presence Africaine. Chap. 8 Bach, 8. H. and Digit, J. 1962 L'Empire Poud. Du Mackinac XVII Siècle Paris, Mouton. Chap. 8 Bach, 8. H. and I. Turlin, G. 1961 Kuhlmann, Texte Initiatique de Pasteurs pour Paris, Mouton General Introd. Bob, O. 1972 Glossaire de mots et de raiders passes en pilar du Fal de Taro Dakar, Centre de Linguistique Appliquée de Dakar. Chap. 10 Babet, V. 1936 Note Préliminaire sur un atelier de Pierres Thomas of Brazzaville Afrique Équatoriale Française BSPF, 33, pages 153-5. Chap. 21 Boduk, J.L. Schroeder, R. 8. Proch, R. and Berger, R. 1974 Concordance of Collagen-Based Radiocarbon and Aspartic Acid Racemization Ages, AATA, 11, 2. Chap. 9 Bayloud, 8. 1966 L'Evolution de Styles Ceramics en Eddy, Acts 1 Arkall. Intern. Archaeology. Africa. General Introd. Albacra 1968 Rudier de l'Afrique Blanche Edouard du Nord Eudis Cordout, 1068 Trans. V. Monteil, BIFAN, B. 30, pages 39-116. Chap. 24 Ballandier, G. 1971 Sociology Act 2ld L'Afrique Paris, PUF 3rd edn. General Introd, Chap. 15 Ballantier, G. M.K. J. 1968 Dictionnaire des Civilisations Africaines Paris, Hazen. Chap. For Beldy, 8. 1826 Fallais Ethnographique du Globe ou Classification des Peuples Anciens et Modernes d'après leurs langues Paris, Re et Gradies. Chap. 12 Ball, J. 1939 Contributions to the Geography of Egypt Cairo, Government Press, Bilac. Chap. 16 Belout, L. 1952 Études, interglaciaires et préhistoires Saharian, Trap. 1 Rs. 8, pages 9 to 21. Chaps 16, 23 Belout, L. 1952 B. Du Nouveau Alain Hannock, BSHNAN, 43, pages 152 to 9. Chap. 22 Belout, L. 1954 Les Hommes préhistoriques du Maghreb du Sahara. Inventaire descriptif et critique, Libica, II. Chap. 22 Belout, L. 1955 Agency. There Abberge N.L. Belout, L'ancient lac de Tihoudane et ses gisements préhistoriques, Ax II Congram. PPEQ, pages 287 to 92. Chap. 23 Belout, L. 1955 B. Préhistoire de l'Afrique du Nord, Essai de Chronologie Paris, EMG. Chaps 12, 22, 23 Belout, L. 1958 Algerie Prehistoric Paris, EMG. Chap. 23 Belout, L. 1965 Les Moustriens du Maghreb, Quaternaria, 7, pages 43 to 58. Chap. 22. 758. Bibliography. Belout, L. 1967 A. Proceeds d'analyse at questions de terminologie dans l'étude des ensembles industriels du Paléolithique inférieur en Afrique du Nord, in W. W. Bishop and J. D. Clark eds. Background to Evolution in Africa Chicago/London, University of Chicago Press pages 701 to 35. Chap. 22 Belout, L. 1967 BLHOMME Préhistorique et la Méditerranée Occidentale, from III, pages 9 to 29. Chap. 22 Belout, L. 1968 La Rupestre Nord-Africaine et Saharienne. 8 Top de Quelques Problems, Symposio Internacio del de Art Rupestre Barcelona pages 257 to 64. Chap. 22 Belout, L. 1976 Orientations Nouvelles de la Préhistoire Maghrébine. In Memoriam Pedro Bosch Import, 1891 to 1974 Mexico pages 99 to 113. Chap. 22 Belout, L. Et al. 1967 onwards 9 collections of papers published under the auspices of the PPEQ Congresses. Chap. 22 Belout, L. Biberson, P. and Teixeira, J. 1967 Le Chouline d'Eternifine, Gisement de la Lanthrope, Anthropology, 71, pages 217 to 37. Chap. 22 Belout, L. and Rubit, C. 1970 Datation Radiometric de l'homme de l'Inde d'Acaria de son Gisement. Les Cargotières du Chacal, Region de Tabelfa, Algeria, Libica, 18, pages 21 to 35. Chap. 22 Barber, E. J. W. 1974 Archaeological Decipherment. The Handbook Princeton, Princeton University Press. Chap. For Barbie, C. and Descamps, C. 1969 A propos des pebble tools de la Moyenne Camp, BIFAN, A. 31, pages 276 to 82. Chap. 24 Barbach, J. 1732 A description of the coasts of North and South Guinea in Churchill and Anchovy. A collection of voyages and travels London. Chap. 1 Berenson, G. W. D.B. E. S. and Grolomsky, L. J. 1965 Yale Natural Radiocarbon Measurements III, Science, 126, pages 916 to 17. Chap. 24 Barrow, J. 1962 Letlands Alimentaires de l'Oceanie, Origins, Distribution et Usages, Annales du Musée Colonial de Marseille, 7, IIIX, 275 pages. Chap. 27 Barrow, J. 1975 Lassie du Sud-Est, Verso Cultural, Etudes Orales, pages 53 to 6. Chap. 27 Arrow, J. 181-3 An account of travels into the interior of southern Africa in the years 797 and 1798, 2 vols London. Chap. 6 Barry, B. 1974 La Chronologie dans la tradition orale du Walo. Essay Interpretation, Africa Simone, 3, pages 31 to 49. Chap. For Barth, H. 1857-8 Travels and Discoveries in North and Central Africa London. Chap. 1 Bash, M. 8, and Gorby A. M. 8, 1968 Estudios de Art Rupestre Nubio, Memorias de la Mission and Archaeologique en Egypt 2, 10 Madrid. Chap. 23 Bassett, R. 1894 Etudes sur les dialectes berbers Paris, Larue. Chap. 10 Bassett, R. 1909-10 Mission au Senegal, 3 vols Paris, Larue. Chaps 6, 10 Battistini, R. 1967 L'Afrique Australe at Madagascar Paris, Puf. Chap. 13 Holland, J. 1962 The Arab Role in Africa Baltimore, Penguin. Chap. 5 BUMBNN, H. 1936 Skop unter Z Dimension in Mythos der Afrikanischen Völker Berlin. Chap. 7 BUMBNN, H. and West German, D. 1940, 1948 Völkerkunde Afrikas SNTR. Les Peuples et les Civilisations d'F Afrique Paris, Payot 1948, 1968. General Introd, Chaps 1, 6, 10 Bongertel, E. J. 1955 The Cultures of Prehistoric Egypt, Red. Beatty and London, Oxford University Press. Chap. 28 Bailey de Hermans, R. D. 1967 Premier Aperçu du Paléolithique in Fibre en République Centrafricaine, Anthropology, 71, pages 135 to 66. Chap. 21 Belt de Hermans, R. D. 1969 Les Collections Préhistoriques de République Centrafricaine au Musée Royal de l'Afrique Centrale, centimeters, VII, pages 27 to 40. Chap. 21 Belt de Hermans, R. D. 1971 Quelques Aspects de la Préhistoire en République Centrafricaine, Yacht, XII, pages 579 to 97. Chap. 21 Belt de Hermans, R. D. 1975 Recherches Préhistoriques en République Centrafricaine Laboratoire d'Ethnologie et de Sociologie Comparative, Université de Paris, Sur Recherches Banguyanaise No. 3, Paris, Clink CC Kite. Chap. 21 Belt de Hermans, R. D. 1976 La découverte de la préhistoire en République Centrafricaine, Archaeologia, No. 92. Chap. 26 Belt de Hermans, R. D. and Vital, P. 1971 Du Datations sur la méthode du carbone 14 de Monuments Monolithiques de Bord, RCA, centimeters, by X, pages 81 to 2. Chap. 21 Bale, F. C. 1966 The Anglo-Cambrian Stone Circles Expedition 1964/65 Bathurst, Government Printer. Chap. 24. 759. Methodology and African Prehistory. Beatty, J. 1968 Aspects of Neurosymbolism, Africa, 38, 4, pages 413 to 42. Chap. 7 Bachin, G. D. 1963 La Préhistoire du Gabon, Objets et Mondes, Volume. Ill Paris, Musée de l'Homme. Chap. 21 Begay, F. 1969 Musique de l'Afrique Collection Expressions, Horizons de France. Bikari, C. 1905-17 Rerum Ethiopiarum Scripturis Occidentals Ineditae Rome. Chap. 1 Beckert, C. H. 1968 Materialen zu Organisieren Islam in Deutsch Ost Africa, INR, LXVII. General Intro, Chaps 5, 6 Beckingham, C. F. and Huntingford, G. W. B. 1954 Some records of Ethiopia $1.93 1646 London, Hakluyt Society. Chaps 1, 6 Barentsmeer, 8. Kate. 1975 The taphonomy and paleoecology of Pleistocene vertebrate assemblages east of Lake Rudolph, Kenya, Bull. Muse. Cum. Zoal. Chap. 17 Beetleman, T. 1970 Myth, Legend and Oral History, a kangaroo traditional text, Anthropos, 65, pages, 74-97, Chap. 7 Bellows, M. 1951 In the Q.L. Macer, ed. C. E. J. Whiting London. Chap. 6 Benazet, 8. 1772 Some historical account of Dini London. Chap. 1 Bequeert, M. 1938 La Fools de Jean Colet Acolina, A.M. RCB, I. 2, pages 29-88. Chap. 21 Bequeert, M. 1952 Fools Adinga Congo Belgi Ax II Congram, PPEQ_, pages 317-53. Chap. 21 Bequeert, M. 1953 La préhistoire du Congo Belgi et ses relations avec la préhistoire africaine sub-Saharienne de l'Holocene, BSRBAP, LXIV, pages 37-49. Chap. 21 Bequeert, M. and Mortelmans, G. 1955 Leechwood Alliance Dansley Bassin du Congo, AARSC, II, 5. Chap. 21 Berg, F. 1968 The Swahili Community of Mombasa 1500-1900, Yacht, by X, pages 35-56. General Intro. Chaps 5, 6 Berger, R. 1970 Ancient Egyptian Chronology, PDRs, 269, 1193, pages 23-36. Chap. 9 Bergman, W. 8. 1973 Correlation and Calibration of Late Pliocene and Pleistocene Marine and Continental Biostratigraphies, AXI and QUA Congram. Chap. 16 Burke, J. 1957 Histoire Social d'un Village Egyptien du siècle Paris, Mouton. Chap. 15 Berrier, H. 1933 Le Cahier de l'écriture du Radom I*, M of M, 36. Chap. 6 Bisankin, J. 1957 L'Homme et Lino Paris, Gallimard. Chap. 28 Biberson, P. 1961 A. Le Cotter Paléogéographie de la Préhistoire du Maroc Atlantique Rabat, Service d'Antiquités du Maroc. Chap. 22 Biberson, P. 1961 B. Le Paléolithique inférieur du Maroc Atlantique Rabat, Service d'Antiquités du Maroc. Chap. 23 Biberson, p. 1965 Recherches sur le Paléolithique inférieur D1 Adder de Mauritanie, Acts v Congram, PPEQ, pages 173-89. Chap. 23 Bibohike, D. and Mateen, K. C. 1971 Nwindo Epic from the Bandunga Congo Republic Berkeley/Los Angeles, University of California Press. Chap. 7 Bird, J. 1888 The Annals of Natal, $1,495-$184 Peter Maritzburg. Chap. 6 Birdsell, J.B. 1972 Human Evolution. An Introduction to the New Physical Anthropology Chicago, Rand McNally. Chap. 4 Biro, P. 1970 L'Origines Naturelles du Globe Paris, Masson. Chap. 13 Bishop, W. 1965 Quaternary Geology and Geomorphology in the Albertine Rift Valley, Uganda, GSAM, 84, pages 293-1. Chap. 21 Bishop, W. and Clark, J.D. PDS 1967 Background to Evolution in Africa Chicago/London, University of Chicago Press. Chaps 16, 19, 22, 23. 24, conclude. Bishop, W. and Miller, J. 8. eds 1972 Calibration of Hominoid Evolution Toronto, University of Toronto Press. Chaps 16, 20 Bittner, M. 1897 Capital, Die Topographie des Investitionsmodels Vienna. Chap. 6 Bibor, 8. D. H. and Hiscopt, M. 1962 The Arabic Literature of Nigeria to 1804, a provisional account, BSAOs, XXVs, 1. General Intro, Chaps 5, 6 Huff, B. 1965 Quelques Découvertes Récentes au Gabon, BSBPG, I. 3, pages 52 to 60. Chap. 21 Huff, B. 1966 Les Top Recherches Préhistoriques au Gabon, Acts 1 Arcall. Intern. Archaeology. Shaft, pages 62 to 80. Chap. 21 Bleak, D. Jeff. 1929 Comparative Vocabularies of the Bushman Languages Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chap. 10 Bleak, W. H. I. 1851 Denominum generibus, linguarum Africae Australis, Coptici, Semiticarum, Thalerum K. Sexualium Bon, Marcus. Chap. 12 Bleak, W. H. I. 1862-9 A Comparative Grammar of South African Languages, 2 vols Cape Town, Juta/London, T. Harvey B. N. Chaps 10, 12 Block, M. 1939 La Société Judéale, Volume 1, La Formation de Lignes de Dependance Paris, Albin Michel. Chap. 1. 760. Bibliography. Block, M. 1949 Apologie pour l'histoire de l'humanité d'historien Paris, Colin. Chap. 7 Blundell, H. W. 1923 The Royal Chronicle of Abyssinia, 1769-1840 Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chap. 6 Blundell, H. W. Boaz, N. and Howell, F.C. 1977 The Gressel hominid cranium from upper member G of the Shungura Formation, Ethiopia, AJPA, 46, 1, pages 93 to 108. Chap. 17 Bohen, 8, 8, and Webster, J.B. 1970 The Growth of African Civilization. West Africa since 1800 London, Longman. General Intro, Chap. 8 Bobo, J. 1956 UN Ensemble D Stations Mustaro Adherents aux Environs D Jeanette Tessali D AJ Libica, 4, pages 263 to 8. Chap. 23 Bonatti, E. 1966 North Mediterranean Climate During the Last WRM Glaciation, Nature, 209, 50-27, pages 985 to 7. Chap. 16 Bond, G. 1956 A preliminary account of the Pleistocene geology of the Plateau Field region of northern Nigeria. Proc. Il Intern. Whack. Pages 187 to 02. Chap. 24 Bonifay, E. 1975 Stratigraphy du Quaternaire et Déguisements préhistoriques de la zone littorale des Alpes Maritimes, BSPF, 72, 7, pages 197 to 06. Chap. 16 Bonfil, R. 1972 Associations Polyniques Actuelles et Quaternaires en Éthiopie et Vallées de la Gouache et de l'Homothesis, 2 vols University of Paris. Chap. 16 Bonfil, R. 1974 Etude palynologique des dépôts Pleistocènes d'Éthiopie, AFCQUA, B. 42 to 3, pages 21 to 2. Chap. 16 Bonfil, R. 1976 Vegetation et climats de temps solariens et échouins à Melkaculture Éthiopie et l'Éthiopie avant histoire. Volume 1, pages 55 to 71. Chap. 17 Donald D. Maziers, 8. 1920 Recherches sur l'emplacement des Guinée de Croix, Mike, 13, 1, pages 227 to 77. Chap. 24 Bonnet, 8. 1961 La Pebble Culture Institute de l'Idonie et l'Intéressage du Piémont du Sahara Central, BSPF, 58, pages 51 to 61. Chap. 23 Bosnian, W. 1967 A new and accurate description of the coast of Guinea, eds. J.D. Fitch, R. E. Bradbury London, Cass. Chap. 1 Boston, J.S. 1964 The Hunter Nila Legends of Origin, Africa, 34, pages 118-20. Chap. 7 Boole, M. Alloys, H. V. and Verney A. U. R. 1934 Legrots Paleolithic Stibonite Owl Algerie Paris, Masson. Chap. 22 Baunac, V. 1972 DUCRIO Laddage, Le Courrier August-September. Conclude. Buissonia, J. Brave, H. et al. 1956 Musée du Bardo, Collections Préhistoriques, Planches, Album No. 1 Paris, BMG. Chap. 23 Beauvoir-Lapierre, P. 1925 Le Paleolithic Stratified Environs du Caire, Anthropology, XXXV, pages 37-46. Chap. 25 Botville, E. W. 1933 Caravans of the Old Sahara Oxford, Oxford University Press. Chap. 1 Boxer, C. R. Education 1959 The Tragic History of the Sea, 5891622 Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chap. 6 Boyle, A. H. and Jeffries, W. 1947 Speculative Origins of the Fulani Language, the Language of Africa, 17. Chap. 10 Bradbury, R. E. 1959 Chronological Problems in the Study of Benin History, AHSN, I, pages 263-87. Chap. 24 Brahimid, C. 1970 L'Idero Moruzi en Littoral de la Région Alger Paris, BMG. Chap. 22 Brahimid, C. 1972 Initiation à la Préhistoire d'Algérie Algiers, SNBD. Chap. 22 Braidwood, R. J. I 960 The Agricultural Revolution, Scientific America September. Chap. 27 Braidwood, R. J. and Reed, C. 8. 1957 The Achievement and Early Consequence of Food Production, a Consideration of the Archaeological and Natural Historical Evidence, Cold Spring Harbor Symposium on Quantitative Biology. Chap. 27 Brain, C. K. 1958a The Transvaal Ape Man Bearing Cave Deposits, Transvaal Museum Memoir No. 11, Pretoria. Chap. 20 Brain, C. K. 1958b The Prehistory of Southern Africa London. Chap. 20 Bray C.O. 8. D. 1952 Monumentum Missionaria Africana, 9 vols Lisbon, Agência Geral do Ultramar. Chap. 6 Broudel, F. 1969 Écrits sur F. Histoire Paris, Flamardo. General Introd. Breasted, J.H. 1906 Ancient Records of Egypt Chicago, University of Chicago Press Volume IV. Chap. 28 Bray, Abbe H. 1931 L'Afrique Paris, Iadar. Chap. 24 Bray, Abbe H. 1944 Le Paleolithic au Congo Belgique d'après la recherche du Dr. Corbeau, V.I. Plateau de Benechuelo, TRSA, XXX, pages 143-60. Chap. 21 Bray, Abbe H. 1952 Les Figures Incisées et Ponctuées de la Grotte de Kintopo Katanga AM RCB, pages 1-32. Chap. 21. 761. Methodology and African Prehistory. Brizalon, M. N. 1969 Dictionnaire de la Préhistoire Paris, Larousse. Conclude. Brotwell, D. and Shaw, T. 1971 Late Upper Pleistocene Proto-West African Negro from Nigeria, Man, 6, 2, pages 221-7. Chap. 24 Brutano, 8. 1867 La Tradition Orale chez l'Agni Holly de Mornau, Biegd. Chap. 7 Brown, E. J.P. 1929 The Gold Coast and Asiatic Reader London. Chap. 1 Brown, G. 1941 The Economic History of Liberia Washington, D.C. Associated Publishers. Chap. 3 Brown, W. G. 1806 Travels in Africa, Egypt and Syria from the year 7792 to 1798 London, Caudale and Davies. Chap. 6 Bruce, J. 1813 Travels to discover the source of the Nile, 5 vols Edinburgh, Constable. Chap. 6 Brunchvigi, R. 1942 to 7 IBNA BD All Halcom et la Conquête de l'Afrique du Nord par les Arabes, Annals DF Institut d'études orientales Algiers, VI. Chap. 5 Brunton, G. 1928 in G. Brunton and G. Caton Thompson, The Badurian Civilization and Pre-Dynastic Remains near Battery, London, British School of Archaeology in Egypt. Chaps 25, 28 Brunton, G. 1937 British Museum Expedition to Middle Egypt IC 28 IC Circumflex Accent C. Morstachda and the Taxon Vulture London, Quaritch. Chaps 25, 28 Brunton, G. 1948 British Museum Expedition to Middle Egypt IC to C. ICJR Matmer London, Quaritch. Chaps 25, 28 Bryant, 8. T. 1929 Olden Times in Zululand and Natal, containing earlier political history of the Eastern and Honey clans London/New York, Longman, Green. Chap. 6 Bucca, v. 1970 Evidence for Changes in the Earth's Magnetic Field Intensity, PDRs, 269, 1193, pages, 47-55, Chap. 9 Bucca, v. 1971 Archaeomagnetic Dating, in H. N. Michael and E. K. Ralph eds Dating Techniques for the Archaeologist, Cambridge, Mass. MIT Press, pages 57-117. Chap. 9 Wadel, J. 1958 Die Fleiskenbildung in den Feuchtentropen und die Rolls Fossiler Salkerfleisken in und ran Klimazonen, ADG, pages 89-121. Chap. 16 Bulk, G. Van 1948 Lara Cherches Linguistics au Congo Belgique, MIRCB. Chap. 10 Burke, Kate. Duro 8. B. and Whiteman, A.J. 1971 The Dry Phase South of Sahara, 20,000 years ago, WHAA, I. Chap. 24 Britain, R. F. 1864 Mission to Salele, King of Dahomey, London. Chap. 1 Butler, J. 1967 Boston University Papers on Africa. Prehistoric Populations in Africa, II Boston, Boston University Press. Conclude. Butzer, Kate. W. 1957 The Last Pluvial Phase of the Eurafrican Subtropics, Les Changements des Climats. Recherches sur la zone aride Paris, UNESCO 20, pages 211-16. Chap. 13 Butzer, Kate. W. 1958-9 Studie en Zumvoort, und FRV Geschichtlichen Landschaftswandel der Sahara, Mainz, Verlag der Akademie Wissenschaften und der Literatur/Wiesbaden, Steiner. Chap. 23 Butzer, Kate. W. 1964 Environment and Archaeology, An Ecological Approach to Prehistory, 2nd BDN 1972 London, Methuen, Chicago, Aldine. Chaps 16, 24, 28 Butzer, Kate. W. and Hansen, C. L. 1968 Desert and River in Nubia, Geomorphology and Prehistoric Environments at the Aswan Reservoir, Madison, University of Wisconsin Press. Chap. 16 Butzer, Kate. W. and Isaac, G. L. 1976 After the Australopithecines, Stratigraphy, Ecology and Culture, Change in the Middle Pleistocene The Hague, Mouton. Chap. 19 Butzer, Kate. W. Richardson, J. L. and Weshparenka Ma, C. 1972 Radiocarbon Dating of East African Lake Levels, Science, 175, pages 1069-76. Chaps 16, 21 Butzer, Kate. W. and Thurber, D. L. 1969 Some late Cenozoic sedimentary formations of the lower Ombo Basin, Nature, 222, 5199, pages 1132-7. Bynon, J. 1970 The contribution of linguistics to history in the field of Berber studies. And D.W. Education, Language and History in Africa, Opus Cit. Chaps 6, 10, 15. Kabut, F. 1935 Considerations sur la stratigraphie des Pleistocènes et outrage Paleolithique de la région de Pode, Phil, BSRBAP, 50, pages 269-84. Chap. 21 Kabut, F. 1935 Les Industries Préhistoriques de la Cuvette Centrale Congola Settlers Rapports avec la Préhistoire Générale, BSRBAP, 50, pages 399-411. Chap. 21 Cadenati, p. 1957 Fools of Columnata. Compan 1956-57. La Necropoli, Libica, v. pages 49-81. Chap. 22 Cadenati, p. 1962 Sur l'extension de la civilisation capsien vers l'Ouest, BSPF, 59, pages 27-32. Chap. 22 Cadenati, p. 1970 Le Columnation, Industrie Épipaleolithique d'Algérie, BSERP, 20, pages 40-50. Chap. 22 Kuberneca, 8. Dio. D. 1942 Historia General das Gigantes Angolanas Lisbon. Chap. 1 Cahen, D. 1975 E. Site archéologique de la Camorra Region du Chab, République du Zaire. D. E. Elage de la Pierre Ancienne Elage du Fer, AM RAC, 84. Chap. 21 Cahen, D. 1976 Nouvelles Fools à la Pointe de la Gombex Pointe de Colina Kinshasa, Zaire. Bibliography. Anthropology, 84, pages 573-602. Chap. 21 Cahen, D. 1977 Vers une révision de la nomenclature des industries préhistoriques de l'Afrique centrale, Anthropology, 81. Chap. 21 Cahen, D. Hayserts, P. and Noten, F. Van 1972 UN Habitat Lupembi and Massaingo Burundi. Rapport Préliminaire, Africa Tourbillon, XVII, pages 78-80. Chap. 21 Cahen, D. and Martin, P. 1972 Classification Formelle Automatique et Industries Elithiques. Interpretations des Hacheros de la Camoa, AM RAC, 76. Chap. 21 Cahen, D. and Moyersons, J. 1977 Subsurface Movements of Stone Artifacts and Their Implications for the Prehistory of Central Africa. Nature, 266, 5605, pages 812-15. Chap. 21 Cahen, D. and Mortelmans, G. 1973 UN Site Chouette Alliance sur le Plateau de Bake Republic du Zaire AM RAC, 81, 46 pages. Chap. 21 Cahen, D. and Noten, F. Van 1970 De Poussoirs dans l'Androdium Ping de Burundi Africa Tourbillon, XVI, 1, pages 13-17. Chap. 21 Cayley, E. R. 1948 On the Application of Chemistry to Archaeology, OJs, XLVII, pages 1-8. Chap. 9 Cayley, E. R. 1949 Validity of the Specific Gravity Method for the Determination of the Fineness of Gold Objects, OJs, XLIX, pages 76-92. Chap. 9 Campbell, B. G. 1965 The Nomenclature of the Hominidi London, Royal Anthropological Institute, Occasional Paper No. 22. Chap. 24 Campbell, R. 1861 A Pilgrimage to My Motherland, or Reminiscences of a Sojourn among the Igbas and Yorubas of Central Africa in 1859-60 London, Johnson. Chap. 6 CMPS, G. 1969 Ameni, Neolithic Ancien du Hogger Paris, EMG. Chaps 22, 23, 24, 28 CMPS, G. 1974 Les Civilisations Préhistoriques d'Afrique du Nord et du Sahara Paris, Douin. Chaps 22, 28 Camp Faber, H. 1966 Macher et Art Mobile dans la Préhistoire Nord-Africaine et Saharienne Paris, Memoirs du Centre de Recherches Anthropologiques, Prehistorics yet ethnographiques. Chaps. 23 Campfire. H. Baixado, J. et al. 1975 Engagement Capsi and Facie Setifan Meges II. Belluma, Algeria, Paris. CNRS. Chap. 22 Condal. 8. L. P. 1883 L'origine des plantes cultivées Paris. F. Alien. Chap. 27 K. Paralco. L. Die and Grazenzi. P. 1934 Lepidoroot History Diam du L. Not Florence. Coediti dell'Istituto Geografico Militare. Chap. 23 Corpo Reed. R. 1953 Le Sahara Francais Paris. Puf. Chap. 23 Caprol. Y. P. 1972 Carte de Longs du Chap Paris. IGN. Chap. 10 Car Saunders. 8. M. 1964 World Population, Past Growth and Present Trends London. Cass. Chap. 14 Carriage AM. 1932 Les Voyageurs et Écrivains Français en Égypte. 1517-1840 Cairo. Institut Français d'Archéologie Orientale. Chap. 6 Carson. P. 1962 Materials for West African History in the Archives of Belgium and Holland London. University of London. Chaps 6. 24 Carson. P. 1968 Materials for West African History in French Archives London. Athlone Press. Chaps 6. 24 Carter. G. F. 1964 Archaeological Maze in West Africa. A discussion of Stanton and Willett. Man. 64. Page 95. Chap. 24 Carter. P.L. and Flight. C. 1972 Report on the Fauna from the sites of Encaraso and Kintampo Rock Shelter 6 in Ghana, with evidence for the practice of animal husbandry during the 2nd millennium BC. Man. 7. 2. Pages 227-32. Chap. 24 Cursales. E. 1859 La Basudos Paris. Chap. 6 Castan M. D. 1548 Historia dos Cusubs Q0 Muti as Forcato Capital Diem Cristuana da Cama Fez Nos Renos de Prestes Lisbon. Academia Real dos Ciencias. Chap. 6 Caton Thompson. G. 1928 C. Brunton. G. 1928. Caton Thompson. G. 1946 The Atiri and Industry, Its Place and Significance in the Paleolithic World. JRAI. Chap. 23 Caton Thompson. G. 1952 Carby Oasis in Prehistory London. University of London. Chaps 23, 25 Caton Thompson. G. and Gardner. E. W. 1934 The Desert Fatum London. Raval Anthropological Institute of Great Britain and Ireland. Chaps 23, 24, 25, 28 Kvazi di Montecudolo. G. 8. 1687 Historica Descrizione di Redni Congo, Matambet Angola, Situati New Ethiopia Inferior or Occidental Milan, Stampe dell'Agnali. Chap. 1 Celis, M. 1972 Geologist Archaeologisten and Material ut die Demokratische Republik van Zaire, Thesis Gond, University of Gond. Chap. 21 Senegal, J. L. D. 1973 Legita avant les Pyramids. 14 Millénaire, Grand Palais, 29 MOY. 763. Methodology and African Prehistory. September 3, 1973 Paris. Editions des Musées Nationaux. Chap. 28 Shirley, E. 1926 Descrizione documentari per la storia della Samaria rivista degli studi orientati. Pages 1-24. Chaps 3. S. 6 Shirley, E. 1931 Document. Rabi per la storia of Ethiopia. Chap. 5 Shirley, E. 1957 Somalia. Scritti Vari Editati ed Beneritite. Volume. I Rome, Istituto Poliografico dello Stato PV. Chaps 5, 6 Chm Vardio, P. 1969-70 Libalson Versant de la Seca di Kimchampadre di Mauritanie Dakar, Faculté de Lettres et des Sciences Humaines. Chap. 23 Chmla, M. C. 1968 La populations en sciences du Sahara et des regions limitrophes, Études de restes humains néolithiques et protohistoriques, MCRAPE, 9. Chaps 23, 24 CHMLA, M. C. 1970 Les Hommes Epipaleolithiques de Colume Native Algerie Occidental Paris, BMG. Chap. 22 Chamblet, M. C. 1973 Etude anthropologique de l'homme capsi and de l'Inde Algerie Oriental Libica, XXI, pages 9 to 53. CHM E. M. and Mason, C. W. 1938 Handbook of Chemical Microscopy, 2nd edn New York, Wiley/London, Chapman and Hall. Chap. 9 Champalt, B. 1953 Industrial Detachée Edgit, Jomi Congram, AFSS, 2 Nips, 1951. Chap. 23 Possilo Pode, FD 1938 La Rupester d'Ohergerot Mertutek Paris, Pion. Chap. 23 Chabellon, J. 1956 Quaternaire de la Vallée du Gir Sahara Nord Occidental Cons Rendus Sommaires de Séances de la Société Géologie Française. Chap. 23 Chabellon, J. 1958 Industrie archaïque du Paléolithique ancienne en place dans les alluvions de l'Udgir Sahara Nord Occidental BSBF, 55, pages 431 to 43. Chap. 23 Chabellon, J. 1964 Études stratigraphiques des formations quaternaires du Sahara Nord Occidental, column feature Oregon Paris, CNRS. Chap. 23 Chabellon, J. 1973 Chronologie de Niveaux Paléolithiques de Melcoculture Ethiopie ECRAs, 276, pages 1533 to 6. Chap. 17 Chabellon, J. Brahimid, C. and Copens, Y. 1974 Premier découverte d'hominide dans l'Andesites Achouliens de Melcoculture Ethiopie ECRAs, 278, pages 30 to 99 to 302. Chap. 17 Chabellon, J. Chabellon, N. Cottons, Y. and Senate, B. 1977 Presence hominide dans les sites Old Oriente Gondria Melcoculture, Ethiopie ECRAs, 285, pages 961 to 3. Chap. 17 Kodi, E. 1938 Sayalkayanum Istanbul. Chap. 6 Kalu, 8. J. 1891 D. to Quitter de la Méditerranée, Lille, Lee Sudan, Fijita Paris, Cheche. Chap. 28 Chesney de Ukes, J. 1969 Lee Modi Production Asiatic Paris, Editions Socials page 29. Conclude. Chevalier, 8. 1938 Les Sahara, Centre d'Origine des Plantes Cultives, Société de Biogéographie, VI. La vie dans la région désertique nord tropicale de l'Ancien Mont Paris pages 309 to 22. Chap. 27 Child, V. G. 1954 What Happened in History, Red. B.D. N. Harmonsworth, Penguin. Chap. 27 Sis, Kate. and Philmans, G. 1968 The Propos de la datation de megaliths Senegambines, Na. 117, pages 13 to 17. Chap. 24 Sissoko, S.M. 1966 Histoire de l'Afrique occidentale Paris, Présence africaine. General Introd. Claridge, W. W. 1915 History of the Gold Coast and Ashanti London. Chap. 1 Clark, G. 1969 World Prehistory, 2nd edn Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chaps 1924 Clark, J.D. The Stone Age Cultures of Northern Rhodesia, Sob. Clark, J.D. 1957 Third Pan-African Congress on Prehistory London, Chatto and Windus. Chap. 24 Clark, J.D. I 960 The Prehistory of Southern Africa Harmonsworth, Penguin. Chaps 19, 21, 24 Clark, J.D. 1962 Vegetation Patterns, Climate and Sands in Northeast Angola, Axe IV Congram. PPEQ, pages 151 to 66. Chap. 21 Clark, J.D. 1963a Ecology and Culture in the African Pleistocene, SAJs, 59, 7. pages 353 to 66. Chap. 21 Clark, J.D. 1963b Prehistoric Cultures of Northeast Angola and Their Significance in Tropical Africa. CDAPC, 62. Chap. 21 Clark, J.D. 1964 The Sankoan Culture of Equatoria, The Implications of its Stone Equipment. Instituto de Prehistoria y Arqueologia, Monographies, Barcelona, 9, pages 309 to 25. Chap. 20 Clark, J.D. 1966 The Distribution of Prehistoric Culture in Angola. CDAPC, 73. Chap. 21 Clark, J.D. 1967a The Problem of Neolithic Culture in Sub-Saharan Africa. In W. Bishop and J.D. Clark eds Background to Evolution in Africa Chicago, University of Chicago Press pages 601 to 28. Chap. 24 Clark, J.D. 1967 The Atlas of African Prehistory Chicago, University of Chicago Press. Chaps 1924 Clark, J.D. 1968 A Review of Oliver Davies's The Quaternary in the Coastlands of Guinea WAAN, 13, 9, pages 37 to 40. Chap. 24. 764. Bibliography. Clark, J.D. 1968 The Further Paleoanthropological Studies in Northern London. CDAPC, 78. Chap. 21 Clark, J.D. 1969-74 Colombo Falls Prehistoric Site, 3 vols Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chaps 19, 20, 21 Clark, J.D. 1978 The Prehistoric Origins of African Cultures, in J.D. Fitch and R. 8. Oliver eds Papers in African Prehistory Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chap. 21 Clark, J.D. 1970b The Spread of Food Production in Sub-Saharan Africa, in J.D. Fitch and R. Oliver eds Papers in African Prehistory Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chap. 27 Clark, J.D. 1970c The Prehistory of Africa London, Thames and Hudson. Chaps 14, 19, 20, 24 Clark, J.D. I-97O The African Prehistory, Opportunities for Collaboration Between Archaeologists, Ethnographers and Linguists, Language and History in Africa London, Cass. Chap. 15 Clark, J.D. 1971 Problems of Archaeological Nomenclature and Definition in the Congo Basin, Sob. XXVI, pages 67 to 78. Chaps 21, 24 Clark, J.D. 1971b Human Behavioral Differences in Southern Africa During the Later Pleistocene, American Anthropologist, Volume 73, pages 1211 to 36. Chap. 20 Clark, J.D. and Haynes, C. V. 1969 The An Elephant Butchery Site at Waganda's Village, Karonga, Malawi and its relevance for Paleolithic archaeology, W8, 1, 3, pages 390-411. Chap. 20 Clark, J.D. and L. E. Gross, W. E. 1967 Man Apes or Ape Men. The Story of Discoveries in Africa New York. Chap. 20 Clark, J.D. M. W. B. Y. J.E. and Gautier, 8. 1970 Interim Report on Paleoanthropological Investigations in the Lake Malawi Rift, Quaternaria, XIII, pages 305 to 54. Chap. 20 Clark, J.D. and Zinderon Becker, E. M. Van 1962 Pleistocene Climates and Cultures in Northeastern Angola, Nature, 196, 4855, pages 639 to 42. Chap. 21 Clark, J.D. and Zinderon Becker, E. M. Van 1964 Prehistoric Cultures and Pleistocene Vegetation at the Colombo Falls, Northern Rhodesia, Nature, 201, 4923, pages 971 to 5. Chap. 21 Clark, J. 1848 Specimens of Dialects, Short Vocabulary of Languages and Notes of Countries and Customs in Africa, Berwick-on-Tweed, Cameron. Chap. 12 Clark Howell, P. Klein Deans, M. R. and Keller, C. M. and D. Bisomilia. Preliminary Report, Prop. 4th PCPQs. Chap. 19 CLIMP 1974 Mapping the atmospheric and oceanic circulations and other climatic parameters at the time of the last glacial maximum about 17,000 years ago. Climatic Research Unit, School of Environmental Sciences, University of East Anglia Norwich. Chap. 16 CNRS Education 1974 Leg Methods Quantitatives d'étude des variations du climat aux cours du Pleistocène, Cal. CNRS, number 219. Chap. 16 Cockerell, T. D. 8. 1907 The fossil set fly in Colorado, Nature, 76, 414. Chap. 14 Cockerell, T. D. 8. 1909 Another fossil set flight, Nature, 80, 128. Chap. 14 Cockerell, T. D. 8. 1919 Andy W. Species of North American fossil beetles, cockroaches and set flies, Proc. and S. St. Nat. Muse, 54, pages 301 to 11. Chap. 14 Coates, J. 8. and Zinderon-Becker, E. M. Van 1970 Paleo-Ecological Problems of the Quaternary of Africa, SAJs, 66, pages 78 to 84. Chap. 21 Cohen, D. W. 1972 The Historical Tradition of Usaga, Newcomb and Kind, Oxford, Clarendon Press. Chap. 3 Cohen, M. S.R. 1947 Essay Comparative sur le vocabulaire et la phonétique du Amido-Sémitique, Paris, Champion. Chaps 10, 12 Cohen, M. S.R. 1958 La Grande Invention de l'écriture et son évolution, Paris, Imprimerie Nationale. Chap. 10 Cole, D. T. 1971 The History of African Linguistics to 1945, in T. 8. Subioke Education Linguistics in Southwest Asia and North Africa 1971 The Hague, Mouton. Chap. 12 Cole, G. H. 1967 in Song G. Summary account, in W. W. Bishop and J. D. Clark eds Background to Evolution in Africa, pages 4815-8. Chap. 19 Cole, S. 1964 The Prehistory of East Africa, London, Weidenfeld and Nicholson. Chap. 19 Coleman, J.S. 1958 Nigeria, Background to Nationalism, Berkeley, California, University of California Press. Chap. 3 Coles, J.M. and Higgs, E. S. 1969 The Archaeology of Early Man, London, Faber. Chap. 19 Cole, J.R. Jeff. 1931 Industries Paléolithiques du Congo Belgique, Axe XB Congram. IAAP, pages 285, 292. Chap. 21 Cole, J.R. Jeff. 1935 Complexiat Convergences en Préhistoire, BSRBAP, 50, pages 49 to 192. Chap. 21 COMMONWE at LTH Arts Festival 1965 Treasures from the Commonwealth, Commemorative Catalogue, London, Royal Academy of Arts. Chap. 24. 765. Methodology and African Prehistory. Cotton, G. 1967 Progress Report on Archaeological Work in Borneo, Northern History Research Scheme, Second Interim Report Zaria. Chap. 24 Cotton, G. 1969 Settlement Mounds of the Furki, The Reconstruction of a Lost Society, Ihaden, 26, pages 48 to 62. Chap. 24 Cotton, G. 1971 Recent Contributions to Borneo Chronology, WAJA, I, pages 55 to 60. Chap. 24 Cotton, G. 1972 Archaeology in Benin, Yacht, 13, 1, pages 25 to 38. Chap. 24 Condi Rossini, C. 1928 story Ethiopia Milan. Chap. 1 Cook. R. M. 1963 Archaeomagnetism. And D. Broadwell and E. Higgs eds. Science in Archaeology London. Thames and Hudson pages 59 to 71. Chap. 9 Cook. C. K. 1969 Re-examination of the Middle Stone Age industries of Rhodesia, Arnoldia. 17. Chap. For Cook. C. K. 1971 Excavation in Zambipata Cave, Sipalolo District, Mashonaland, Rhodesia, Sob. XXVI, pages 104 to 27. Chap. 20 Cook. H. B. S. 1958 Observations relating to quaternary environments in East and Southern Africa. TGSSA. Appendix to Volume 61. Chap. Size 6. 21 Cook. H. B. S. 1964 Pleistocene mammal faunus of Africa with particular reference to Southern Africa. In F.C. Howell and F. Borley eds. African Ecology and Human Evolution London. Matuan pages 65 to 116. Chap. 20 Cook. H. B. S. 1965 Tentative Correlation of Major Pleistocene Deposits in Africa, Wintergreen Symposium on the Origin of Man, Chicago. Chap. 24 Cook. H. B. S. 1972 Pleistocene Chronology, Long or Short, Maritime Sediments, Kate, 1, pages 1 to 12. Chap. 16 Kuhn, C. S. 1968 The Infamous Cave Report Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania. Chap. 24 Copens, J. and Goveli, M. 1971 L'Anthropologie, Science des Sociétés Primitives. Paris, Editions Fonte. General Introd. Cottons, Y. I 960 Les Cultures Protohistoriques et Historiques du Dijourab, Acts 1 Arcall. Intern. Archaeology. Africa. General Introd. Cottons, Y. 1961 Découverte d'un Australopithecine dans l'île Frenchienne du Chad, CRAs, 252, pages 38-51 to 2. Chaps 23, 24 Coppens, Y. 1962 Découverte d'un Australopithecine dans l'île Frenchienne du Chad, L. CNORs, 104, pages 455 to 9. Chaps 23, 24 Coppens, Y. 1965 Aléominion du Chad, CRAs, 260, pages 2869 to 71. Chaps 16, 24 Coppens, Y. 1965 Aléominion du Chad, Acts v Congram. PPEC, I, pages 30 to G30. Chaps 16, 24 Coppens, Y. 1966 A. Leichanthropus, Anthropologia, 70, pages 5 to 16. Chap. 24 Coppens, Y. 1966 B. Ligisement de vertebras quaternaires de l'Ouest africain, BIFAN, A. 27, pages 373 to 81. Chap. 24 Coppens, Y. 1978 Localisation dans les temps et dans l'espace terrestre hominides deformations Pleistocènes de l'Homo Ethiopie CRAs, 271, pages 1968 to 71. Chap. 17 Coppens, Y. 1970 B. Les restes hominides de séries inférieures et moyennes deformations Pli of la Frenchienne de l'Homo en Ethiopie, CRAs, 271, pages 2286 to 9. Chap. 17 Coppens, Y. 1971 Les restes hominides de séries supérieures deformations Pli of la Frenchienne de l'Homo en Ethiopie, CRAs, 272, pages 36 to 9. Chap. 17 Coppens, Y. 1972 Tentative Dezonation du Pliocene et du Pleistocène d'Afrique par les grands mammifères, CRAs, 274, pages 181 to 4. Chap. 16 Coppens, Y. 1973 Les restes hominides de séries inférieures et moyennes deformations Pli of la Frenchienne de l'Homo en Ethiopie recalled as 1970. 1971-1972 CRAs, 276, pages 1823-6. Chap. 17 Coppens, Y. 1973b Lerests Hominid did series Superis deformations Plio Villafranchiens de Lomohan Ethiopia Records 1971-1971 CRAs, 276, pages 1981-4. Chap. 17 Coppens, Y. 1975 Evolution de Mammiferas. Dealers frequencies at dealers associations occurs du Plio Pleistocene dance la basse vallée de Lomohan Ethiopia, CRAs, 281, pages 1571-4. Chap. 17 Coppens, Y. 1975 The evolution de hominids at dealer environment occurs du Plio Pleistocene dance la basse vallée de Lomohan Ethiopia, CRAs, 281, pages 1693-6. Chap. 17 Coppens, Y. Et al. 1976 Earliest Man and Environments in the Lake Rudolph Basin, Stratigraphy, Paleoecology, and Evolution Chicago, University of Chicago Press. Chaps 17, 18, 19 Corbeil, R. 1951 8 Larry since Dacuber takes o cap vert concernant la Paleolithic, BIFAN, B. 13, pages 384-437 Chap. 24 Corbeil, R. 1951 B. Mice and Evidence Industries Lithic Conscience dans l'extreme Oyus Sénégalais, Conference Conference Internationale des Africanistes de l'Orfai, 2, pages 387-90. Chap. 24 Corbeil, R. MUNY, R. and Charbonnier, J. 1948 Préhistoire et Protohistoire de la Presqu'île. 766. Bibliographie. Du Cap Vert et de l'extrême Oyus Sénégalais, BIFAN, B. 10, pages 378-460. Chap. 24 Cornevin, R. 1962 Histoire de one Afrique Paris, Pale. Chap. 5 Korea, E. 8. DS. 1937 Historia de Angola Lisbon. Chap. 1 Coopers, 8. and KMENZIT. 1970 Literature de Cooper O. Rwanda Oxford, Clarendon Press. Chap. 7 Corsi, D. G. 1967 Eames London, Longman, Green. Chap. 24 Corsi, D. G. 1972 The Origins and Domestication of Eames in Africa, Proc. Berg. Hort. Sim. 56. Chap. 24 Corsi, D. G. and Alexander, J. 1968 African Agricultural Patterns and the Sickle Cell, Science, 160, pages 1474-5. Chap. 24 Courroy, C. 1955 Les Vandals et l'Afrique Paris, BMG. Chap. 5 Creech, D. 8. 1970 A type Index for Africa, Research in African Literature Austin, Texas I. Pages 50-3. Chap. 7 Creech, P. 1951 Surquelques Nouveaux Sites et Quelques Nouvelles Industries Préhistoriques d'Afrique Occidentale Française, CR Conference. Intern. The Africanists de l'Ort 1, 2, pages 397-430. Chap. 24 Creech, S. 8. 1852 The Vocabulary of the Yoruba Language London, C. Lees. Chap. 12 Crone, G. R. Ed 1937 The Voyages of Kodomo Stowe London, Hakluyt Society. Chap. 1 Crowther, S. I-88S.7 BNGA/ of an expedition up the Niger and Chad Rivers London. Chap. 16 Hugo No. O. 1787 Thoughts and Sentiments on the Evil and Wicked Traffic of the Slavery and Commerce of the Human Species London. Chap. 6 Cuny, 8. L. M. 1946 Invitation de l'étude comparative de langues Indo-Europeans et de langues Chamido-Sémitiques Bordeaux, Beer. Chap. 10 QAQ, J. Trans. 1975 Recul des sources arabes concernant l'Afrique occidentale du XVIIIe siècle, Bilad al-Svidi in Paris, CNRS. Chap. 5 Curry. R. 1969 Chronology Glaciar Absolute de la Sierra Nevada, California. Pour la dernière 2,700,000 ANS Thesis. University of Paris. Chap. 16 Curtin, P.D. I-960 Archives in Tropical Africa. Reconnaissance Circumflex Accent // pages 129 to 47. Chap. 6 Curtin, P.D. Ed. 1967 Africa Remembered Madison. Chap. 6 Curtin, P.D. 1968 Field Techniques for Collecting and Processing Oral Data. Yacht, IX. 3, pages 367 to 85. Chap. 7 Curtin, P.D. and Vancina, J. 1964 Sources of the 19th Century Atlantic Slave Trade. Yacht, I. Chap. 6 Cuvelier, J. and Jagden, L. 1954 Ancient Royaume du Congo d'Afrique Les Archives Romains $1.18 1640 Brussels, Académie Royale des Sciences Coloniales. Chap. 6. Dol. O. C. 1951 Melgag Getmanchan, Van Comparison Linguistic Oslo, Egypt Institute. Chap. 12 Dane, 8. 1961 Temwanajikrit et Philology, L'Histoire et SES Methods, Encyclopédie de la Clé of Paris. Chap. 5 LB, D. 1965 The Mill Languages, The Reclassification of Southern West Atlantic ALS. 6, pages 1 to 17. Chaps 10, 12 LB, D. 1966 Levels of Relationship in the Classification of African Languages, ALS. Chap. 10 LB, D. 1967 Survey of the Indigenous Scripts of Liberia and Sierra Leone, ALS. 8, pages 1 to 51. Chap. 6 LB, D. 1970 Reflections on the Classification of African Languages, with special reference to the work of Sigismund Wilhelm Cole and Malcolm Guthrie, ALS, XI. Chap. 12 LB, D. 1970 Language and History in Africa New York, Africana Publishing Corporation, London, Cass. Chaps 10, 12 LB, D. 1977 Language Map of Africa and the Adjacent Islands, provisionally BN. London, International African Institute. Chap. 12, Appendix Talani, M. 1934-5 Mission Voted Brustig Joe Hike J.I. to Vols Paris, Gaudier Villers. Chap. 23 Talani, M. 1948 Materias pour l'étude du Sahara Oriental, Region entre la Libye, le Timbresty et le Kawar Niger Geology et Préhistoire Algiers. Chap. 23 Talani, M. 1952 La Station Mostrian de Retania Press Dinkerman Algeria XII Congram. PPEQ, pages 419 to 27. Chap. 22 Talani, M. Dalrymple, G. Brent and Lanphier, Martin A. 1969 Potassium Argon Dating. Principles, Techniques and Applications to Geochronology San Francisco, Freeman. Chap. 4 Talani, M. and MONOD, T. 1948 Geology et Préhistoire Fresent Meridional, Kawar et Timbresty Mission Scientifique du Faisan 1944-45 Traf. 1 Rs. 6. Chap. 23 Dalton, G. Education 1968 Primitive, Archaic and Modern Economies, Essays of Carl Polarna E. New York. 767. Methodology and African Prehistory. Chap. 13 Altile, 8. 1793 The History of Hami. Chap. 1D MBX, D. Education 1966 Ecological Essays, Proceedings of the Conference of Cultural Ecology, Museum of Canada Bulletin, 230. Chap. 27 Danfodio, 8. 1963 Tizzy in All War Cat, Education and TRS. M. Hisco London. Chap. 6 Daniel, G. E. 1943 The Three Ages, An Essay on Archaeological Method Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chap. 24 Daniels, C. 1970 The Garamantes of Southern Libya Wisconsin, Mass. Holy Andrew Press. Chap. 24 Damper, O. 1668 Norke Urijbeschremping Heeded Afrika Ensk Guistan Amsterdam, Van Moors. Darlington, C. D. 1963 Chromosome Botany and the Origins of Cultivated Plants. 2nd Beatty and London, Bowen and Unwin. Chap. 27 Davidson, B. 1959 The Lost Cities of Africa Boston, Little, Brown, Jan Intraub. Davidson, B. 1965 Old Africa Rediscovered London, Bollanks. General Intraub. Davidson, B. 1967 The African Past Harmonsworth, Penguin. General Intraub. Davidson, B. 1967 The Growth of African Civilization, A History of West Africa 1000 to 1800 London, Longman. General Intraub. Davidson, B. 1968 Black Mother, Africa, The Years of Trial London, Bollanks. General Intraub. Davies, O. 1959 The Distribution of Old Stone Age Material in Guinea, BIFAN, B. 21, pages 1 to 2. Chap. 24 Davies, O. I 960 The Neolithic Revolution in Tropical Africa, THSG, 4. Chap. 24 Davies, O. 1961 Archaeology in Guinea, Papers Edinburgh, Nelson. Chap. 24 Davies, O. 1962 The Neolithic Culture of Guinea, Acts 5 Congram, PPEQ, 3, pages to 91301. Chap. 24 Davies, O. 1964 The Quaternary in the Coastlands of Guinea Glasgow, Jackson. Chap. 24 Davies, O. 1966 The Invasion of Guinea from the Sahara in the Early Iron Age, Acts v Congram, PPEC, 2, pages 27 to 42. Chap. 24 Davies, O. 1966 Comment on, J.R. Kell, B. Fagan and Art Summers, The Iron Age in Sub-Saharan Africa ca. 7, pages 470 to 1. Chap. 24 Davies, O. 1967 ANEW Radiocarbon Dates from Guinea, AFCQ AB, 14 to 15, page 28. Chap. 24 Davies, O. 1967 West Africa Before the Europeans, Archaeology and Prehistory London, Matuan. Chap. 24 Davies, O. Hugo, H. J. and Sudden, D. 1968 The Origins of African Agriculture, ca. 9, 5, pages 47950 for Davidson, C. 1973 Glass Beads in Africa and Archaeology, AATA, 10, 2. Chap. 9 Davidson, C. Guy Hake, R. D. and Clark, J. D. 1971 TWO Chemical Groups of Dichroic Glass Beads from West Africa, Man, 6, 4, pages 645 to 9. Chap. 9 DOI, M. H. and Leakey, R. E. F. 1973 NEW Evidence for the genus HOMO from East Rudolph, Kenya, I. AJPA, 39, pages 34 to 54. Chap. 17 DOI, M. H. and Leakey, R. E. F. 1974 NEW Evidence for the genus HOMO from East Rudolph, Kenya, I. AJPA, 41, pages 367 to 80. Chap. 17 Day, M. H. Leakey, R. E. F. Walker, 8, C. and WOOD, B. 8. 1975 New Hominids from East Rudolph, Kenya, I. AJPA, 42, pages 461 to 76. Chap. 17 Day, M. H. Leakey, R. E. F. Walker, 8, C. and WOOD, B. 8. 1976 NEW Hominids from East Turkana, Kenya, AJPA, 45, 3, pages 369-436. Chap. 17 Dayrell, E. 1911 Further Notes on Nsagadi Signs with their meanings from the Ikom District, Southern Nigeria, JRAI, 41, Pite, LXV, LXVII. Chap. 10 Deacon, H. J. 1970 The Ashuli and occupation of Amanzi Springs, Uidinage District, Cape Province, ACPM, 8, 11. Chap. 20 Deacon, H. J. 1972 A. Wilton, an assessment after 50 years, Sob, XXVII, 1-2, pages 10-48. Chap. 20 Deacon, H. J. 1972 B. A review of the post-Pleistocene in South Africa, Sob, Goodwin Series 1, pages 26-45. Chap. 20 Devono, F. 1948 A. Paleolithic Finitely Mesolithic Ahilao N. ASA, XLVII, pages 629-37. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1948 The El Amari, ASA, XLVII, pages 562-8. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1951 Expedition Archaeologique Royale au Desert Oriental, ASA, Leap, pages 59-91. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1954 La Necropoli Creed in Aztec v. Leopolis, ASA, LU, pages 625-52. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1956 La Civilization Pre-Dynastic del Amari Nord de la Anpi, XXXVII, pages 331-9. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1969 Lee Sentiment Religion Aleppo Prehistoric and Egypta, Che, XI, pages 1-13. Chap. 25. 768. Bibliography. Boat Note, F. 1970 Recherches Préhistoriques dans la Région d'Esna, BIFKO, LXIX, pages 245-51. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1971 Étude de dépose de silex, Graffiti de la montagne Thibrine, I. 2, pages 32-50 Cairo. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1971 Prospection Prehistoric Compan 1972-1973 Graffiti de la montagne Thibrine, I. for Cairo. Chap. 25 Devono, F. 1975 Thebes Prehistoric, SES Survivances à l'époque pharaonique, Axe du Sykes Congrès International de Orientalists, I. Chap. 25 de Botno F. 1976 A. Old Yen and Egypta, B.I. Chap. 25 de Botno, F. 1976 B. Survivances Préhistoriques de l'usage du silex à l'époque pharaonique, B.I. Chap. 25 Deegan, T. 1956 Leave Site Prehistoric de Timasit Senegal BIFAN, B. 8, pages 432-61. Chap. 24 De La Fosse, M. 1901 Essai de Manuel Pratique de la Langue Monde Humanité Paris, Larue. Chap. 12 De La Fosse, M. 1912 Haute Senegal Niger Sudan Francais Paris, La Rose. Chaps 1, 10 De La Fosse, M. 1914 Most Sudanais du Moyen Age, Memoire de la Société de Linguistique, Paris 18. Chaps 10, 12 De La Fosse, M. 1921 Memoirs de l'Afrique Paris. Chap. 1 De La Fosse, M. 1924 Group Senegalo-Guinean, in A. Millet and M. Cohen eds Longs du Mont Paris, Champion. Chaps 10, 12 Delaney, M. R. 1861 Officier I Report of the Niger Valley Exploring Party New York, Hamilton. Chap. 6 Deal Croix, R. and Warfrey, R. 1939 Lead to Me and Diwane Française, Anthropology, 49, pages 265-312. Chaps 23, 24 Deliberias, G. Delighter, M. T. and Woodbury, J. 1974 Gift Natural Radiocarbon Measurements VIT, Radiocarbon, 16, 1, pages 15-94. Chap. 21 De Libera, 8. 1974 L'Histoire de West Marina, Interpretation d'un Tradish and Aral Paris, Clink CC Kite. Chap. 8 De Mouchiat, E. I-960 Lichemo at l'Afrique du Nord Romaine, Annals, 209-47. Chap. 26 Denis, J. The Natter, P. and Wilmette, J. 1971 L'Afrique Centrale et Orientale Paris, P.U.F. Chap. 13 Denninger, E. 1971 Use of paper chromatography to determine the age of albumin binder and its application to rock paintings, SAAA, 2, pages 80-4. Chap. 99, J. 1930 Sommaire d'Archives du Caire, Institut Français d'Archéologie Orientale. Chap. 6 Descamps, G. 1971 Senegal, Préservation et mise en valeur du patrimoine archéologique, D. Les Mégalithiques du Science Alone Paris, UNESCO. Chap. 24 Deschamps, H. 1962 pour une histoire de l'Afrique, in regards sur l'Afrique, Diogen, 37, pages 113-20. Deschamps, H. 1964 L'Afrique tropicale aux 18e siècles Paris, Centre Documentation Universitaire. Introd. Deschamps, H. 1969 L'Afrique noire précoloniale, 2nd EDN Paris, P.U.F. Introd. Deschamps, H. Education 1970-1 Histoire générale d'Afrique noire, de Madagascar et des Archipels, Tuvals Paris, P.U.F. Chap. 70 Splagnes, 8. M. L. 1907 L'archéologie préhistorique en Guinée française, BSGC, Bordeaux. Chap. 24 Splagnes, 8. M. L. 1907 B. Le Plateau Central Nigerian. En mission archéologique et ethnographie post-Sudan français Paris, La Rose. Chap. 21 Desbois, J. and Reynal, R. 1967 Géographie de l'Afrique du Nord Udis Paris, Pale. Chap. 13 Distanic, E. 1911 Notes sur des manuscrits arabes de l'Afrique occidentale, Rate. Chaps 5, 6 Deva, I. 1974 La tradition orale et l'étude des sociétés agricoles, Diogen, 85, pages 123-42. Chap. 4 Diane, P. 1972 Tirate nu la dagsi Iwala, Anthropologie de literature la Wolof Dakar, IFAN. Chap. 10 Diane, P. 1976 Enquête linguistique Chap. UNESCO. Chap. 10 Dialogue, T. 1968 Les institutions politiques du Fonte de l'Anneau siècle, Ronio Dakar. Chap. 6 Deal, C. 1969 L'Afrique byzantine. Histoire de la domination byzantine en Afrique 533-709 2nd EDN. Tuvals, New York, Franklin. Chap. 5 Diane, 8. 1974 Classes sociales et mode de production esclavagiste en Afrique de l'Ouest Paris, Cahiers du Centre d'études et recherches marxistes, NO. 114. Conclude. Diane, 8. 1978 Hegel, Marx, Engels et les problèmes de l'Afrique noire Paris, Education Soncorp. Dimleby, G. W. 1963 Pollen Analysis, and D. Broadwell and E. Higgs EDS Science in Archaeology. 769. Methodology and African Prehistory. London, Thames and Hudson pages 139-49. Chap. 9 Diop, C. 8. 1955 Nations Négriers et Culture Paris, Présence Africaine. Chaps 10, 24 Diop, C. 8. 1959 L'Unité culturelle de l'Afrique noire, Domaines du patriarcat et matriarcat dans l'Antiquité classique Paris, Présence africaine. Diop, C. 8. I-960 L'Afrique noire précoloniale, étude comparée des systèmes politiques et sociaux de l'Europe et de l'Afrique noire, DF Antiquité à la formation des États modernes Paris, Présence africaine. Chap. 24 Diop, C. 8. 1962 A Réponse aux quelques critiques, BIFAN, B. 24, pages 542-74. Chap. 24 Diop, C. 8. 1962 b Histoire primitive de l'humanité, evolution du monde noir, BIFAN, b. 24, pages, 449541 chap. 24 diop, c. 8. 1973 Introduction à l'étude de migrations en Afrique occidentale et centrale Dakar, IFAN, chaps 6, 10 diop, c. 8. 1974 Physique nucléaire et chronologie absolue Dakar / Abidjan, NDA, chap. 4 diop, m. 1971 Histoire des classes sociales dans l'Afrique DTOUS Paris, Maspero, conclude, do DL Heifer, E. 1959 Lead Déchiffrement d'écritures, trans. M. Biddy Beer Paris, Arthod, chap. 4 duis, R. L. 1938 Les Boules d'Épierre et les Pierres Perforées des collections de préhistoire du Musée du Congo, AM RAC, 1, pages 89 to 140. Chap. 21 Doak, C. M. and Cole, D. T. 1961 Contributions to the History of African Linguistics Johannesburg, Witwatersrand Rand University Press. Chap. 12 Dovres, J. 1971 Histoire sommaire de la Corne Orientale d'Afrique Paris, Gutenberg. Chap. 5 Doriis, L. 1974 La Circulation pluviométrique récente sur les bassins du lac Chap et la circulation atmosphérique générale, Revue de géographie physique et de géologie dynamique, 16, 4, pages 393420. Chap. 16 Dorson, R. M. Cum. 1972 African Folklore New York, Anchor Books. Chap. 8 Dorson, R. M. 1976 Oral Literature, Oral History and the Folklorist, in R. M. Dorson, Folklore and Folklore Cambridge, Mass. Harvard University Press pages 127 to 44. Chap. 8 Dorst, J. and Dandelot, P. 1970 A Field Guide to the Larger Mammals of Africa London, Collins. Chap. 24 R. M. 1963 Flore du continent africain, region au nord du Sahara, Conquête sur les sources naturelles du continent africain Paris, UNESCO pages 257 to 70. Chap. 13 Drieton, E. and Van Dier, J. 1962 Les Peuples de l'Orient Méditerranéen, L'Egypte, 4 ed and enlarged, Tuvals Paris, PUF. Chaps 5, 28 Drau, G. and Kelly, H. 1939 Recherches préhistoriques dans la région de Boko Songho et Pointe Moyenne Congo JSA, 9, pages 71 to 84. Chap. 21 Dubeef, J. 1959 L'éclatement du Sahara Algiers, Institut de Recherches Sahariennes. Chap. 23 Dugouin, W. E. B. 1903 The Souls of Black Folk, Essays and Sketches Chicago, McClurg. General Introd. Dugouin, W. E. B. 1939 Black Folk, Then and Now, An Essay in the History and Sociology of the Negro Race, New York, Holt. De Moulin de la Plante, P. 1946 to 7 Histoire Générale Synchronique Paris, Gallimard. Conclude. Dunbar, J. H. 1941 The Rock Pictures of Lower Nubia Cairo, Government Press. Chap. 23 DUNH&M, D. and Bates, O. 1950 to 63 The Royal Cemeteries of Kush, 5 vols, El Nuri, Volume 2, 1955 Cambridge, Mass. Harvard University Press. Chap. 28 Dunhill, 8. 1969 The Pipe Book, Red. Beatty and London, Barker. Chap. 24 Dupuy, J. 1824 Journal of a Residence in Ashanti, London. Chap. 1 Uvarar, H. 1864 Les Touaregs du Nord Paris, Chilamel. Chap. 23 Buvigny UD, P. 1958 La Végétation du Krupanga et des SES Sols Mellifères, Bulletin de la Société Royale de Botanique de Belgique, 92, pages 126 Circumflex accent 278. Chap. 21 Duivendox, JJL. 1949 China's discovery of Africa. London, Probston. Chap. 5 Duivendox, JJL. 1973 Eastern African Coast, Arave, pages 98 to 122. Introd, chaps 5, 6. About, F. 1933 Le Peuples de la Banquishari. Essay d'ethnography, de linguistique et d'économie sociale, ethnography, 27, pages 3 to 79. Chap. 21 Edwards, I.E. S. 1970 Absolute dating from Egyptian records and comparison with carbon-14 dating, PDRs, 269, 1193, pages 11 to 18. Chap. 9 Gref. J.U. I 960 A Short History of Benin, 3rd BDN Ibadan University Press. Chaps 1, 24 Harrod, C. 1968 Sheep and Central Sudanic Peoples Circumflex Accent / by X, 2, pages 213 to 21. Introd. LFAC. M. 1971 Berber, the sister language of Arabic Acts of the Academy of Cairo. Chap. 12 Al-Khattani, M. 1961 L'Histoire et ses Methods Paris, Encyclopédie de la Cléade. Introd. 770. Bibliography. Al-Khattani, M. 1968 A Les Manuscrits de l'Occident Africain dans la Bibliothèque du Maroc. Height. 9, 1, pages 57 to 63. Introd. Al-Khattani, M. 1968 The Les Sections d'Archives et des Manuscrits des Bibliothèques Marocaines. Height. 9, 3, pages 459-8. Introd. El Townzi, O. 1845 Voyage au Darfour, Tr. Persons Paris. Chap. 6 Henry, W. B. 1961 Archaic Egypt Harmonsworth, Penguin. Chap. 28 Henry, W. B. 1965 Egypt in Nubia London, Hutchinson. Chap. 28 Emile Yanni, C. 1955 Paleoclimatological Analysis of Late Quaternary Cores from the Northeastern Gulf of Mexico, Science, 189, 4208, pages 1083 to 7. Chap. 16 EMPHOUX, JP. 1970 La Grande de Batterie au Congo Brazzaville, ORSTOM, II, pages 3 to 20. Chap. 21 Encyclopédie de l'Islam 1954 2nd EDN, Education J.H. Kramers Leiden, Brill. Introd. Chap. 5 Ingelma R. 1965 Die Felsgravieren IM District Salem Nubian Vienna, Baulau. Chap. 23 Inuchi, E. 1962 UNE Entertainment, Liam du Jabal IR Hound, Anthropology, 66. Chap. 22 ERMEN, 8. Enranka, H. 1952 Law Civilization 18, Trans. C. Matthew Paris, Pale. Chap. 28. Evans Pritchard, E. E. 1939 New Time Reckoning, Africa, 12, pages 189 to 16. Chap. 7 Ewing, G. W. 1954 Instrumental Methods of Chemical Analysis London, McGraw-Hill. Chap. 9 Io. E. 1969 Excavation Batile Effect, African Arts, pages 44 to 7. Chap. 24 Io. E. 1972 8ROP Rock Shelter Excavations 1964, WJA, 2, pages 13 to 16. Chap. 24 Io. E. 1972 B New Treasures from Nigeria, Expedition, 14, 2, pages 1 to 11. Chap. 24 Io. E. 1974 Excavations at Odo Ogdi Street and Lavo Dodo, Effect, Nigeria, WJA, 4. Chap. 24 Air, SR. 1963 Vegetations and Soils, The World Picture London, Arnold. Chap. 14. Faughey, Kate. And Iverson, J. 1950 Textbook of Modern Pollen Analysis Copenhagen, Monksgard. Chap. 9 Fagan, B. M. 1969 radiocarbon dates for sub-Saharan Africa. W. Yacht, 10, pages 149 to 69. Chap. 24 Fagan, B. M. and Noten, F.L. Van 1971 The Hunter-Gatherers of Wishio, A.M. RAC, 74. Chap. 21 Fidge, J.D. 1961 Anthropology, Botany and History, Chea, 2, pages 299-309. Fidge, J.D. 1962 An Introduction to the History of West Africa, 3rd ed. Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Introd. Fidge, J.D. 1970 An Atlas of African History London, Arnold. Fidge, J.D. 1970 Africa Discovers Her Past London, Oxford University Press. Chap. 15 Fidge, J.D. and Oliver, R. 8. eds. 1970 Papers in African Prehistory Journal of African History Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Conclude. Fab. 8. 1972 A pottery from the rock shelter excavations of 1944 and 1964, WJA, 2, pages 29 to 38. Chap. 24 Fac. 8. 1970 to be excavation of an occupation site in the Nile Valley, Nigeria, WJA, 2, pages 75 to 9. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1944 Preliminary Report on a Microlithic Industry at ROP Rock Shelter, Northern Nigeria. Proceedings of the Prehistoric Society Cambridge 10, pages 68 to 9. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1945 A Preliminary Note on a New Series of Pottery Figures from Northern Nigeria, Africa, 15, pages 21 to 2. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1956 An outline of the Stone Age of the Plateau Minefield, Proc. Il Intern. Whack, pages 203 to 22. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1956 B. The Nile Culture, War, 27, pages 1083 to 7. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1959 The Nile Culture in Prehistory, AHSN, 1, 4, pages 288 to 93. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1962 The Nile Terracottas in West African Art History, Ax IV Congram, PPEQ, III, pages 445 to 50. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1968 The Nile Culture, Excavations at Taraga, WAAN, 10, pages 27 to 30. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1969 Recent Work in West Africa, New Light on the Nile Culture, W8, 1, pages 41 to 50. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. 1972 ROP Rock Shelter Excavations 1944, WJA, 2, pages 1 to 12. Chap. 24 Fac. B. E. and Fleming, S.J. 1970 Thermoluminescent dating of a terracotta of the Nile culture, Nigeria, Archaeometry, 12, pages 53 to 5. Chap. 24 Fac. W. 1963 Nigerian Images London, Humphreys. Chap. 24 Fac. W. and Willett, F. I 960 Ancient Effect, an Ethnographical Summary, Odu, 8, pages 21 to 35. Chap. 24 Farad, Ben. and I. Iskander, Z. 1971 The Discovery of Firfta Cairo, Government Printing Office. Chap. 9. 771. Methodology and African Prehistory. Farine, B. 1963 Sites Prehistoriques Gabonites Libreville, Ministère de l'Information. Chap. 21 Farine, B. 1965 Recherches Préhistoriques au Gabon, BSPPG, I. 3, pages 68 to 84. Chap. 21 Farine, B. 1967 Quells Outils Princes Pause de Diverse Facie Prehistorics de Districts de Joel et Debut, BSBPG, pages 22 to 36. Chap. 21 Farrand, W. R. 1971 Late Quaternary Paleoclimates of the Eastern Mediterranean area in Late Cenozoic Glacial Ages, in K. Durikine dead. The Late Cenozoic Glacial Ages New Haven, Yale University Press pages 529 to 64. Chap. 16 Faulkner, R. O. 1953 Egyptian Military Organization, J. 39, pages 32 to 47. Chap. 28 4, H. 1962 Reconnaissance Geologique de Formations Sedimentaires Post-Paleozoics du Niger Oriental, Thesis University of Paris. Chap. 23 4, H. 1967 Evolution de Grands Lacs Saharians Oligocene, Quaternaria, 15, pages 167 to 75. Chap. 16 4, H. 1969 Lacs Quaternaires du Sahara, Internationale Vereinigung FDR Theoretische und Entwicklungsethnologie Stuttgart 17, pages 131 to 48. Chap. 16 4, H. and E. Loward, P. 1967 Schema de Variations du Niveau de l'Ocean Atlantique sur la côte de l'Ouest de l'Afrique DPUIs 40,000 A&S, CRAs, 265, pages 784 to 7. Chap. 24 for Embouche, D. 1970 Les Cro-Magnons d'Afrique du Nord, L'Homme de Cro-Magnon Paris, BMG. Chap. 22 for Embouche, D. Dastuc, J. and Poitras Targawa, M.J. 1962 La Necropole Epipaleolithique de Forêt Maroc Oriental Etude des Squelettes Humains Rabat, Editat Casablanca. Chap. 22 Ferguson, J. 1969 Classical Contacts with West Africa, in L. 8. Thompson and J. Ferguson eds Africa in Classical Antiquity Ibadan University Press. Chap. 24 Fields, Pr. Millestede, J. Hendrickson, E. and Ramati, R. W. 1971 Trace Impurities in Copper Ores and Artifacts, Science and Archaeology, pages 131 to 43. Chap. For file side, T. 1962 Li Relazione like a China Conti African El Medio of Milan, Jufrey. Chap. 5 Filippowiak, M. 1969 A Expedition Archaeologique Polo no Guinea Benign and 1968, Africana, 11, pages 107 to 17. Chap. 24 Filippowiak, M. 1969 B Discovering 9, Polish Review, 4, 92, pages 14 to 16. Chap. 24 Finnegan, R. 1970 Oral Literature in Africa Oxford, Clarendon Press. Chap. 8 Fisher, H. J. 1972 He Swallow Wet the Ground with Fierceness and Rage, The Horse in the Central Sudan, Yacht, 13, 3, pages 367 to 88. Chap. 24 Fisher, R. 1912 Twilight Tales of the Black Bucket London. Chap. 1 Flamand, G. B. M. 1902 Leclerc writes Hajarat Mektabat du Nord de l'Afrique spécialement de la région Salon, Anthropology, 12, pages 535 to 8. Chap. 23 Flamand, G. B. M. 1921 Leclerc writes Hajarat Mektabat. Gravures et inscriptions Rupestres du Nord Africain Paris, Masson. Chap. 23 Fleming, H. C. 1969 The Classification of West Cushitic within Hamarto-Semitic, and D. F. McCall, N. R. Bennett and J. Butler eds Eastern African History New York, Preber pages 3 to 27. Chap. 12 Flight, C. 1968 Kintampo 1968, WAAN, 8, pages 15 to 19. Chap. 24 Flight, C. 1970 Excavations at Kintampo, WAAN, 12, pages 71 to 3. Chap. 24 Flinders Petrie, W. M. C. Petrie, W. M. F. Flint, R. F. 1947 Glacial Geology and the Pleistocene Epoch, New York, Wiley, London, Chapman and Hall. Chap. 16 Flint, R. F. 1959 A Pleistocene Climates in Eastern and Southern Africa, BGSA, 70, pages 343 to 74. Chaps 16, 21 Flint, R. F. 1959 BO and the Basis of Pleistocene Correlation in East Africa, Geology Magazine, v. pages 265 to 84. Chaps 2I, 24 Flint, R. F. 1971 Glacial and Quaternary Geology, New York, Wiley. Chaps 16, 24 Fluitrae, F. 1957 Pour une étude de la toponymie DDA.O.F. Dakar, Publications de l'Université. Fodor, I. 1966 The Problems in the Classification of the African Languages, Budapest, Center for Afro-Asian Research of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. Chap. For Forster, R. Education 1893 Scriptures Physiognomonaxy Leipzig, Teubner. Chap. Ben Forbes, R. J. 1955 to 72 Studies in Ancient Technology, Volume I. Leiden, Brill. Chap. 28 Ford, J. 1971 The Historical Roll-Offs at Oxford, Clarendon Press. Introd. Ford, C. D. Education 1954 African Worlds, Studies in the Cosmological Ideas and Social Values of African Peoples, London, Oxford University Press. Introd. Ford, C. D. 1956 £? Trader Sophoid Calabar, London, Neva, York, Oxford University Press. Chap. 6 Fortes, M. and Evans, Richard, E. E. eds. 1958 African Political Systems, London, Oxford University Press. General Introd. Fosbrook, H. 8. 1950 Rock Paintings of North Central Tanzania, TNR, 29. Chap. 19. 772. Bibliography. Thorough, F. 1883 Excursion Dance Le Sahara Algerian, Vexplore Return, 16. Chap. 23 Thorough, F. 1903-25 Documents Scientifiques de la Mission Saharienne. Mission Faro Lamy, d'Alger au Congo partly Chap. 3 Vols Paris, Masson. Chap. 23 Fernier, F. 1963 Les Sols du Continent Africain, Enquête sur les sources naturelles du Continent Africain, Paris, UNESCO, pages 227-55. Chap. 13 Freeman, T. 1844 Journal of Various Visits to the Kingdom of Ashanti, Dahomey and Abbey Okuda, London. Chap. 6 Freeman Grenville, G. S.P. 1958 Swahili Literature and the History and Archaeology of the East African Coast, JASC, 28, 2. Introd, Chaps 5, 6 Freeman Grenville, G. S.P. 1959 Medieval Evidences for Swahili, JASC, 29, 1. Introd, Chaps 5, 6 Freeman Grenville, G. S.P. I 960 East African Coin Finds and Their Historical Significance, Chea, 1, pages 31 to 43. Introd, Chaps 5, 6 Freeman Grenville, G. S.P. 1962 The East African Coast, Select Documents from the 1st to the earlier 19th century, Oxford, Clarendon Press. Chaps 1, 6 Freeman Grenville, G. S.P. 1962 The Medieval History of the Coast of Tanganyika, Oxford, Clarendon Press. Chap. 6 Frodenis, L. 1912-13 und Afrika Sprook, Berlin, Charlottenburg Tr. R. Blind, The Voice of Africa, London, Hutchinson Introd. Frodenis, L. 1921-8 Atlantis, Forecast Marchen und Forecast Itungen Afrikas Gena. Chap. 1 Frodenis, L. 1937 Ekade Tag. Die Felsbilder Pheasants Leipzig, Herassowitz. Chap. 23 Frodenis, L. 1949 Mythologie df Atlantide, Le Poseidon di Afrique, Sun Culte chez les Yoruba du Benin, Paris, Payot. Introd. Frobenus, L. 1952 Histoire de la civilisation africaine, trans. H. Back and D. E.R. Mont Paris, Gallimard. Introd. Frobenus, L. and Obermeyer, H. 1923 Hedschirmaktuba, Urzeitlich Felsbild der kleine Frikas Unique, Wolf. Chap. 23 Frocker, J. 1965 La Machine Electronique au Service des Sciences Humaines, Diogen, 52, pages 110 to 44. Chap. For Froude, J. 8. 1888 The English in the West Indies London, Longman, N.E.W. York, Scribner. Chap. 1 Fuller, F. 1921 A Vanished Dynasty, Ashanti London. Chap. 1 Furon, R. 1943 Manual d'Archaeologie Prehistorique Paris, Pale. Conclude. Furon, R. 1958 Manual de Préhistoire Générale, Geology, Biogeography, Archaeologie Préhistorique, Evolution de l'Humanité, Les Méthodes et la Protohistoire, 4th ed. Paris, Pale. Conclude. Furon, R. I 960 Geologie de l'Afrique Paris, Pale. Chap. 13 Finn, N. F. 1950 The Diary of Henry Francis Finn, eds. J. Stewart N.D. Malcolm Peter Maritzburg, Shooter and Shooter. Chap. 6. Gable, C. 1966 Prehistoric Populations of Africa, BUPA, pages 1 to 37. Chap. 15 Gable, C. and Bennett, N. R. 1967 Reconstructing African Culture History Boston, Mass. Boston University Press. Chap. 15 Galton, F. 1891 Narrative of an Explorer in Tropical South Africa, 4th ed. London/New York, Wardlock. Chap. 6 Gardner, 8. H. 1947 Ancient Egyptian Onomastica London, Oxford University Press. Chap. 28 Gardner, 8. H. 1957 Egyptian Grammar, being an Introduction to the Study of Hieroglyphs, 3rd ed. London, Oxford University Press. Chap. 28 Gardner, J.V. and Hayes, J.D. 1975 Eastern Equatorial Atlantic, Subsurface Temperature and Circulation Responses to Global Climatic Change During the Past 200,000 Years, GSAM, 145. Chap. 16 Gar Lake, P. 1974 Excavations at Abalaras Land, Defect, Nigeria, WJA, 4. Chap. 24 Gas, F. 1975 L'Evolution de l'Axe de la Fer Central Ethiopie et TFAI du Pléistocène de l'Actuel, Thesis, 3 vols Paris, University of Paris. Chap. 16 Godefroy de Montbans, M. 1927 L'Afrique Moins à Egypte Paris. Chap. 5 Gazan, M. and J. 1965 UN Atelier de Burenzilla Grachnil. 1. Oyud Tilum C. Mali Anthropology, 69. Chap. 23 Gaudier, E. F. 1908 Les Sahara Algerian Paris, Colin. Chap. 23 Gaudier, E. F. 1928 Les Sahara Paris, Payop 2nd ed. 1946, 3rd ed. 1950. Chap. 23. Gaudier, E. F. 1933 Du Centers d'Influence Mediterranean qui rendent intelligible l'Afrique occidentale, BSGF, pages 71 to 2. Introd. 773. Methodology and African Prehistory. Gaudier, E. F. and Raygas, M. 1923 Découverte d'un outrage mostrant the outles documents at Turin's dans les Tidical, UAS Riul, Region de l'Electrifal, Acts 46 Econgram. AFAs. Chap. 23 Gaudier, E. F. and Raygas, M. 1934 Les Monuments de Tindinan, AARSC, 7. Chap. 23 Gentner, W. and Lippold, H. J. 1963 The potassium-argon dating of Upper Tertiary and Pleistocene deposits, in D. Broadwell and E. Higgs eds. Science in Archaeology London, Thames and Hudson pages 72 to 84. Chap. 9 Germain, G. 1957 Cusus CEQ Lipripo Badon. Hesperes. Chap. 5 Goose. F. 1976 Rapport Annuel d'Activide 975-76 Khartoum. Service d'Antiquités du Soudan. Chap. 28 G. Gag. R. F. 1968 Late Pleistocene History of the Nile Valley in Egyptian Nubia. Ph.D. dissertation New Haven, Yale University. Chap. 16 Giglio, G. 1958 Vitalia in Africa. Series Stories, Volume Primo, Ethiopia/March Rosso Rome. Chap. 6 Gilbert, E. W. 1932 What is Historical Geography? The Scottish Geographical Magazine. 48, 3. Chap. 14 Gerard, P. Peer. 1937 Texts de droit romain, 6th edn. Chap. 5 Glalia Hanzo, M. 1974 Les Dansons, du Pouvoir de la Nation Fon Paris, Nutria. Chap. 10 Glover, T. R. 1977 Rome and the Mediterranean London, Cambridge University Press. Chap. S. Gobert, E. G. 1951-2 El Mectic, Station Princeps du Cap Cn, Carthago, 2. Chap. 22 Gobert, E. G. 1963 Bibliographie critique de la préhistoire tunisienne, ISD Tunis, 41-2, pages 37-77, Chap. 22 Gode Molsbergen, B.C. 1916-32 Reisen with Africa in die Hollandsbijt, for Vols S. Gravenage, Knight J. Hoff. Chap. 6 Goj, M. J.D. 1879-94 Bibliotheca Geographorum Leiden. Chap. 5 Brighton 1960 The Cairo Geniza as a source for Mediterranean social history, in J. Chaos. Chap. 5 Brighton 1967 The Mediterranean Society, the Jewish communities of the Arab world as portrayed in the documents of the Cairo Geniza Los Angeles, Economic Foundations Volume I. Chap. 5 Goodwin, A.J.H. and Reed L. O.W.E. C. Van 1929 The Stone Age Cultures of South Africa, ASAM, 27. Chap. 20 Goody, J. Education 1968 Literacy in Traditional Societies Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Chap. 7 Gorog Karabi, V. 1966-72 Literature Oral Africaine, Bibliography Analytic Periodics CA, 21, VII, pages 24350-136, by X, pages 631-66, 40, X, pages 583-631-45, XII, pages 174-92. Chap. 7 Guro, P. 1970 Laffer Paris, Hachette. Chap. 13 Graft Johnson, J.C. D. 1924 African Glory London. Chap. 1 Graft Johnson, J.C. D. 1928 Towards Nationhood in West Africa London. Chap. 1 Graft Johnson, J.C. D. 1929 The Historical Geography of the Gold Coast London. Chap. 1 Grandidier, A. Charles Root, J. Deltour, C. Freud Devez, H. and Grandidier, G. 1903-20 Collections d'Ouvrages Anciens concernant Madagascar, 9 vols Paris, Comite de Madagascar. Chap. 12 Gray, H.A.M. 1940 History of the Gambia London. Chap. 1 Great, R. 1965 Eclipse Maps, Chea, V.I. 3, pages 251-62. Chap. 7 Great, R. 1968 Annular Eclipse Maps, Yacht, by X. 1, pages 147-57. Chap. 7 Great, R. and Chambers, D. S. 1965 Materials for West African History in Italian Archives London, Athlone Press. Chaps 6, 24 Graziosi, P. 1942 La Rupestre della Libia Naples, Edizioni Delta Mostra d'Oltremare, Florence, Limonier. Chap. 23 Greenberg, J. H. 1948 The Classification of African Languages, A.A. 10. Chap. 10 Greenberg, J. H. 1954 Études sur la classification des langues africaines, BIFAN, B, XVI. Introd, Chaps 1, 10 Greenberg, J.H. 1957 A Essays in Linguistics Chicago, University of Chicago Press. Chap. 10 Greenberg, J.H. 1957 B Nilotic, Nilo-Hamitic and Hamarto-Semitic, Africa, 27, pages 364-77. Chaps 10, 12 Greenberg, J.H. 1963 A Longue Histoire en Afrique, Présence africaine, 45, pages 35-45. Chaps 10, 15 Greenberg, J.H. 1963 B Languages of Africa, Gel, 29, 1, pages 1-177. Chaps 1, 10, 12, 24 Greenberg, J.H. 1963 See History and Present Status of the KW Problem, Acts to Equal. Intern. LNA. Greenberg, J.H. 1966 The Languages of Africa The Hague, Mouton. Chap. 12 Greenberg, J.H. 1971 Language Culture and Communication Stanford, California, Stanford University Press. Chap. 10. 774. Bibliography. Greenberg, J.H. 1972 Linguistic Evidence Regarding Bantu Origins, Yacht, 13, 2, pages 189-16. Chap. 12 Gregerson, E. 8. 1967 Linguistic Seriation as a Dating Device for Loanwords with Special Reference to West Africa, ALR. Chap. 10 Gregerson, E. 8. 1977 Language in Africa, An Introductory Survey New York, Gordon and Breach. Chap. 12 Grial, M. 1947 Myth de l'Organisation du Monde chez les Dogons du Soudan, Psyche, 6, pages 443-53. Chap. 8 Grial, M. 1949 L'Image du Monde au Soudan, JSA, 19, pages 81-7. Chap. 8 Grial, M. 1952 Attendu de l'Instruction Traditional au Soudan, Zaire, 6, pages 563-8. Chap. 8 Grial, M. and I. Turlin, G. 1951 Signs Graphics Sudanese, Liam. Chap. 10 Grial, M. and I. Turlin, G. 1965 Leonard Pale, Volume I. Ligne Cosmogony Paris, Institut d'Ethnologie. Chaps. 8, 15 Griffith, F. L. 1927 The Abitus Decree of Seti Ayabari, J. 13, pages 193-08. Chap. 28 GROHMBNN, 8. 1934-59 Arabic Papyri in the Egyptian Library. Chap. 5 GROHMBNN, 8. 1955 Einfront und Chrestomathy zur Arabischen Papyruskunde. Chap. 5 Growth, 80. and Polian, R. 8. 1963 Some Aspects of the Pleistocene Paleogeography of the Chad Basin, Viking Fund Publications in Anthropology, 36, pages 230-45. Grove, 8. T. and Polian, R. 8. 1964 Some Aspects of the Paleogeography of the Chad Basin, in F.C. Howell and F. Borley eds African Ecology and Human Evolution London pages 230-45. Chaps 16, 24 Growth, 8. T. Street, F. 8. and Gaudi, 8. S. 1975 Former lake levels and climatic change in the Rift Valley of southern Ethiopia, GJ, 141, 2, pages 177-02. Chap. 16 Grove, 8. T. and Warren, 8. 1968 Quaternary Landforms and Climate on the South Side of the Sahara, GJ, 134, pages 194-08. Chap. 24 Gruet, M. 1954 Legisement Mustrian Dielger, Carthago, 5. Chaps 22, 23 Grissel, S. 1920-8 Les Histoires anciennes de l'Afrique du Nord, 8 Vols Paris, Hachette. Chap. 5 Gaby Hard, P. 1907 Trois Aubries Sourange Fools Dance Les Foules de Dijon, BGHD. 3, pages 408 to 20. Chap. 24 Gurnier, E. L. 1952 La Porte d'F. Afrique La Pensée Humaine Paris. Pale. Introd. Guillet. M. 1848 Documents sur l'histoire, la géographie et la commerce de l'Afrique orientale Paris. Chap. 1 Gillet, R. and Descamps, C. 1969 Nouvelles découvertes préhistoriques et Timassage Sénégal BIFAN, B. 31, pages 602 to 37. Chap. 24 Gatat, R. 1972 Presentation des Pieces Pédoncules de l'Azrag Mauritania, 135, pages 29 to 33. Chap. 23 GUMA, SM. 1967 The Form, Content and Technique of Traditional Literature in Southern Soto Pretoria, Vanscaped. Chap. 7 Guthrie, M. 1948 The Classification of the Bantu Languages London/New York, Oxford University Press. Chap. 12 Guthrie, M. 1962 Some Developments in the Prehistory of the Bantu Languages, Yacht, 3, 2, pages 273 to 82. Chap. 12 Guthrie, M. 1967 Comparative Bantu, An Introduction to the Comparative Linguistics and Prehistory of the Bantu Languages Farnborough, Greg. Chap. 10 Guthrie, M. 1969 Linguistics and History London. Chap. 10,